Let the chaos reign. Chaos Reign presents the Metaverse Chaos Theory, Episode 9, broadcast November the 7th, 2021. And like always, enjoy.
The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at TalkRealSolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of TalkRealSolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not TalkRealSolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
In a world where there's crime, corruption, violence, murder, rape, theft, and all forms of atrocities that plague the world in which you live in today, what you're witnessing, we are living in a state of chaos. And it'll take a more greater or extreme chaos to restore the order in which the world we live in today.
Welcome. Welcome again to another edition to the Chaos Rain channel. As I'm Chaos Rain here. And today's stream is an interesting one. Something that I came across. And we could probably discuss and talk about it at hand here. And get the chaos theory into this new term of events. But before we go into today's stream, I would like everybody to go to talkroasters.com where you see the 3-point plan for Black empowerment, Black achievement. And under the 3-point plan, you will see the list of Black established banks that you could invest your money in, located near you. I think there's still, or they might be less than 30 now, depending. And also on the website, you see the latest news articles that's going on. And one thing I probably will do if I have it, the link up here, I have the website right here, surprisingly, as I'm talking to y'all. And I might put it in the chat room for those that want to know what TRS is. As you know, it's a nice little website, current events, everything is up to date. And I'm looking at the website now, and for some reason I do not. Let me see. I'm just looking at the website, see what this. I think it's only news right now. Oh no, I still see the 3-point plan here. Okay. And there is a list of Black banks on this website, which I said constantly in previous, I would say, streams or uploads, per se, of this side of the Chaos Rain channel. So pretty much all the information is actually on the website. Pretty good website. I got to give you credit. Time of view there. I mean, this looks nice. I mean, usually I find if it was more colorish, but nonetheless, it's a basic website. It's cool. Let me see what's going on. Okay, and also for those that are listening, if you're not new to the Chaos Rain channel, go find me on YouTube, titled Chaos, CHAOS REIGN, YouTube channel, YouTube page, and subscribe to the channel. You know what to do. Hit that red button and hit the top notification bell, so that way you know where there's an upload or live streams on the Chaos Rain channel. And if you're any of a content creator like this channel here under the Chaos Rain, you always gotta make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you're not subscribed properly, usually what happens when you don't hit the top bell, and this happens occasionally, and maybe moving forward, they might start doing this more. They're going to start purging people off that subscribers to the channel that's not pretty much either clicking onto some of the videos or just being interaction. And I say possibly. But nonetheless, if you find this particular broadcast good, or just the TRS side of things, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit the top bell. Always check the channel if you're subscribed. Because if you're not a daily interactive, for whatever reason, always double check. Because normally 9 tenths of the time, it's not that the channel disappeared, but YouTube does this occasionally because they want to get a count every so often, end of the year possibly. And it tells you that with so much content on YouTube, there's not much time people want to watch every video. And I get this and I understand this. But for those that, let's say, either support financially or by sharing or liking the video, whatever the case may be, always make sure you're still tuned into the channel, regardless, Hell, it won't hurt, because, hell, you subscribe for a reason. So there's something that you're finding to your liking of the content here. And I appreciate those that still rock with Chaos Rain and this side of the YouTube side, TR side of things. So I appreciate it and thank you. Oh, and also go to Facebook on TRS to like the page on Facebook where you get an invitation to the private chat room, so you know what's going on in the DM side of things. It gets real interesting. You know, a lot of shit goes around, politics, you know, fun, etc. All that's in the private chat on Facebook. So you know, make sure you like the page so you get invited to the private chat. And always, TRS is on YouTube. Type in Talk Real Solutions on YouTube. You'll find some of the episodes on TRS on the side of their channel, YouTube side of things, and etc. And I think that is pretty much it. So now, what is the title for today's stream? Okay, let me check what's going on here. Okay, let me look. The title for today's stream is titled Chaos Reign Presents the Metaverse, the Chaos Theory, Episode 9. This is the 9th episode of my theory into events pertaining this new installment that I think Mark Zuckerberg and his crew are embarking to the new social media space and evolutionizing and bring us forward into now the very first generation of the 21st century. I present to you the Metaverse. Yes, it's very interesting. So, what is this thing we call the Metaverse? Let's take a look, shall we? Oh, and if you dare, Mr. Tyrone Thompson, if you do mind, I'm not sure if you could share, well, I don't know if you could share my screen. I'm showing the Wikipedia side of things, but nonetheless, if you could Wikipedia and share it for the people to see it personally. It says here the Metaverse is a universe, and meta is the hypothesized next illustration of the internet, supported by decentralized, persistent online 3D virtual environment. The virtual or this virtual space will be accessible through virtual reality headsets, augmented reality glasses, smartphones, PCs, and game consoles. Ooh. Now, what I mean by game console, I'm not talking about your old game console, PS4 or possibly Xbox One. They're talking about PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. They're talking about that type of metaverse. And moving on and moving forward, the metaverse has well-defined use case within the video game business, education, retail, and real estate sector. Now, that one's very interesting, the real estate sector. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But if you notice, everybody got what we call a Google Map. If you have an Android, and I'm not sure if Apple gives you the Google Map as well. I doubt it. And I say I doubt because that you have to install Google on Apple, which Apple, overall, you have to install these apps. But I know for sure, on the Android side of things, Google Map is presented on the app. So if you look at real estate and stuff, you can easily see a bird's eye view of the environment through satellite, GPS, etc. of the place and where the streets, potential buildings, etc. And it constantly is always updated with the help of GPS and, bird's eye view technology. And I add that, and I just create that word, surprisingly. That they see a three-dimensional background of certain places you live, street corners, and blocks through the top or their heads up display. So that's something that people should really know. Anyway, the largest limitations for wide-scale adoptions of the metaverse come from technology limitations, with current devices and sensors needed to interact with real-time virtual environments. Numerous companies such as Meta, Robotics, Epic Games, and Microsoft are investing in research in Metaverse relating technology to make it more cost-effective and more widely available. However, the Metaverse has come to be criticized as a method of public relations building using a purely speculative, overhyped concept based on existing technology. Information privacy and use addictions are concerns within the metaverse, stemming from current challenges facing the social media and video game industries as a whole. And I have to say, no, it's not as a whole, because that is the next wave of anti-socialism, in my opinion. And let me explain. Because let's be honest, majority of people across the globe, if we want to have this conversation, has and owns in their hand a device that is more smarter than their brains. That is what we call a smartphone. Oh, do you know what that is? I'll explain. It's this nice little gizmo that could fit in the palm of your hand, depending on the size, that you could sit there, touch with a touch screen, and you get interaction not only with yourself, but conversate with the world itself, with special, unique apps you add or comes with the smartphone. Most likely you spend roughly over $1,000 or less. If you're smart, you spend less than $1,000 on a phone, which I'm hoping you do. Point given. But this device is smarter than you, but it has so many capabilities. Hell, you can even hack with a smartphone. You know how to do it right. I'm just saying. But with integration between gaming and real life and social media, what you're going to witness, you're going to see a wave of more anti-social and more what we're going to call less activity, interaction between man and woman and human beings. Hell, look what happened even in this current year and last year. We have been remotely operating through the comforts of our own living room, our own rooms, hell, in our own apartment or house, wherever you live. And you, as a person, the user, has to get comfortable being less and less interactive with the physical world. So why not have something what we call the metaverse? It's something that, like Mr. Zuckerberg or other people around the industries, have been thinking and always planning, what can we do to capitalize on people that no longer want to be physically seen or touched in the real world? You use what you already have available. One of those things is virtual reality, VR, which is the old technology, if I like to go into detail, that's been around for the last 30 years. We all know about Sega Genesis, and I forgot what was the device back then. It was on special VR things, and I think Nintendo had it too, but this is what I'm guessing back then. But this technology was always been around, people. Hell, the military probably invests more in virtual reality that we don't know about if you ever served in the armed forces or any form of military. But nonetheless, the metaverse is here. And it is now the time to integrate all of what we indulge and take for granted for leisure into one. And if you remember, the word meta is an old or used new term that derives, if you remember from the DC comic books, of special humans, ones that have special gifts and powers. They used to call meta people. So why not give it the name Metaverse, where you are not the physical being in flesh. You are a digital/virtual image of self. If you want to make yourself into virtual reality or a physical or a digital spectrum of yourself. Now, if y'all remember playing systems like PS3 with a PlayStation Store or PlayStation Network, you have, if you're one of them type of people, create an artificial image of yourself into a digital space. So if you think about it, this was already in the process roughly 12 or 13 years in the making. And we could say roughly over 10 years. Before even VR started to come around in PlayStation 4 back in the last 7 years or 6 years since it was created and designed. And mind you, VR, even back then, even slowly now, was to the half. I remember Microsoft that was teetering, playing with virtual reality headsets and stuff, but you had to spend out of pocket roughly over $1,000 with the right specs, right desktop, just to have the power, the throttle, the capacity, just to run VR smoothly through streaming. And this is during the time when we had 4G. And now we are now approaching 5G. So imagine now once 5G is really up and running, all what you see with the metaverse and everything is going to be of nothing of brilliance and short fit. Everything else besides virtual reality will be much faster and interactive for the human consumption. So let me continue reading on. Matter of fact, let me see if the thing's ready. Oh, it is ready. Good. I might play some audio and give more commentary. But let me continue reading on. The elements of Metaverse includes both physical and virtual worlds, a fully functioning economy, and transferable of avatars and digital assets across different parts of the Metaverse. The Metaverse will be decentralized. Ooh. And there will be many companies and individuals that will operate their own space within the Metaverse. Now, I kind of like that right there. You know, we always talk about decentralized banking, cryptocurrency, all that good, gushy shit. The Metaverse will make it even more easier for you to operate in a digital space, which could be possibly you could use in the so-called physical world. Ain't that special? Moving on. Let me see, where was I? And there will be many companies, individuals that will operate their own space with the Metaverse. Other qualities of the Metaverse include digital persistence and synchronicity, meaning that all events in the Metaverse occurs in real time with penalties, effects. The Metaverse ecosystem ushers centric elements, including avatar identities, content creation, virtual economy, social acceptance, presence, security and privacy, and trust and accountability. Now, I'm not sure what the hell that means, because we all know with IT on the rise, and we know hackers are on the rise as we speak. That means if you have an electric device like a phone or a tablet or desktop or laptop, and you are clicking on any sites that you don't know of and you should not be clicking, you could easily be hacked. And I mean hacked so easily, you wouldn't understand that someone is watching, which they're watching already, but that's another story. That you make it so easy that people that well-known doing codes could know what you're doing throughout your own presence of your own digital device. But with the Metaverse, it makes it a little bit harder, from what I read there, for anybody that tries to tinker with the system and tries to hack up the system. Very hard. And it should be, because you're a digital form of self. You're decentralized. You're doing commerce in this fashion. So it has to be nip-tick and very protective from everything, even your privacy. So they say. And I say so they said loosely. My only concern is, will people create an avatar of themselves or create some artificial being that is in disguise just to fool the average user? That should be a question every person should be asking if they decide to use and subscribe and use what we call the Metaverse once it's officially launched. And normally what I'll do, I'll put a poll and see if anybody asks this question, which, y'all will get very soon. Let's go on. Potential implementations. There are many potential applications of the metaverse. An ideal metaverse would allow the user to do any experience or activity or address almost any of their needs from a single starting point. So in a complete state of metaverse could be applied to anything. Okay. Within the business sector, the metaverse could be used for virtual office platforms where users can virtually collaborate in a 3D space that eliminates an office environment. See that? Now, mind you, we have things already in disposal like WebEx, Zoom. You hear people doing meetings off this stuff, right? But imagine now you have to see yourself as a person through television screen, but actually be there in the office in a virtual setting. Imagine that. Wouldn't it make life so fun and interactive? Make it so digitally active? It's so exciting. Let me pause for a second. Let's take a look. Oh, somebody posted a question in the chat room. Will the metaverse have the capacity to hack your mind? That's an excellent question. Very excellent question. To be honest with you, I don't know. And the reason why I say I don't know, because they have now, if you have been following social media, especially Facebook, they have advertisements. They have now a device that you can control objects and machinery with your mind. But it's a visor. It's not a thing where you wear goggles. It's like a tiara that surrounds your head. You put over like a crown. And you're able to manipulate the machinery with your mind. Now, mind you, this is not new technology. This is technology that's always been in existence. Remember the movies that talk about this and projection of the future, 20, 30 years in the future, in the 21st century? Anything that you see on movies, you see that they already have, are available or already working and refining the technology. And you will know this technology better if you serve in the armed force, military especially, because they get all the good gizmos first before the community and regular consumers get it second or third hand. Now, another question asks, will it manipulate your brainwave? That alone is, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised and say it's possible, but you always got to ask the question, what manipulation can your brain be manipulating now that you're not already manipulating in the physical world? Should be the biggest question to ask. Because people right now, as we speak, are moving in their own occurs through the environment they're in. You cannot manipulate any more than what you already doing through the environment. And hence, any form of other manipulation that you might have any concerns, you shouldn't concern, to be fair and honest, because they have much and a lot of apps. Metaverse is just one thing that Mark Zuckerberg just rolled out for the public to know that we are changing the product for whatever reason, and I mean for every reason, because we got to move forward in the 21st century. Now, he will not say really truly that, because they've been working on this for some time now, they're talking about the little issues they have ready with Facebook in regards to their manipulation of the algorithm in regards to elections, other things that they're promoting to sell to you through advertisements. They're not going to talk about that in detail because, like I said, one woman that worked for them had to bring their name and all evidence through Congress, which if y'all not clear or know about, you could look that information yourself through the internet. I don't have to go much in detail. You can find that for yourself. Well, let's say this move now at this right time is to present something because you're shifting from one platform and engage in another one. All answers will not always be revealed in time. As a person that's going to be using this technology moving forward, and I advise everybody they should get comfortable and be uncomfortable and get comfortable. is this is the wave of the future. You cannot skip it. You can't run from it. You must not only accept it, but learn how it works and master it. That is the only advice I give anybody that is afraid of the potentials. Because a person who masters their environment is a god. Yes, I said it. Is and will ever be a
God.
So, let me see what else I say. Yeah, and you said right there, during the last election, it was proven evident that they did something and had something to do with that. So I agree. Let me keep reading on. Now, another question asked here said, will the metaverse with AI program individuals thinking? Like I said before, and I like these questions. This is good questions, excellent questions. I'll say this for further advice and be honest. You are a living being. There's no more control that a person could give unless you let them control you as the individual in person. Now, one of the things with mind control and manipulation is always, back then they had to create images in your head through what you see 1,000 times. Because remember, a picture says 1,000 things. Really control not only what you think, but what you see and perceive of reality. Now, with the power of virtual reality, because it does have effect after a while, your use of it, especially put it on and you're doing work or playing games, it will have an effect on you because your brain is not designed to see things in certain dimensions for a long period of time. They might cause headaches or some other things. Even to the thought that usually, if you think about it, most people that play video games can go into what we call a seizure. And people don't say, how is it possible for some people to go in seizure? And the answer is simple, because of the way they see images and colors at a fast rate. So, like I said, if you're a person that suffers from that, per se, and you get that if you're playing video games for a long period of time, if you're using virtual reality and you're using these goggles, you'll know where you stand once you're using it for a certain period of time. I would say for anybody that's going to mess with VR, always see your tolerance by messing with the technology. What I mean, that means you go to a store or you buy it personally, which is cheap now. I think it's under $400. Don't be cheap. Buy the product and put it on for yourself and experience firsthand.
Virtual reality.
You must experience it for yourself. And I'm telling this personally because that's the only way you're going to know what you stand in your tolerance through different forms of technology, especially things that are visually bombarding your subconscious mind. I hope that answers any of the comments or the questions, if anybody poses any more questions. But let me keep reading on, and I'm going to run the audio. What was that? Within the business sector, the metaverse could be used for virtual office platforms. All right, with collaborate in 3D space that emulates an office environment. Example of this include Facebook Horizon Workrooms and Microsoft Mesh. This could further allow employees to work from anywhere virtually, reducing the need of lives within cities. Now, when you buy lives, that means there are certain points of certain times you're not going to be there on a physical place for an event on the average. So what's the next best thing? Get your Oculus ready. Put on and indulge into the virtual reality of the event. And trust me, I've seen virtual lives firsthand without the Oculus, I think last year. And I tell you, once it's very intriguing, if I like to say so myself. And I see that this is the wave of the future. But I didn't know how they're going to make this work for everyday use for people conventionally for any time or any environment around the world. Let's go on. Within the education sector, the metaverse could be used for immersive field trips anywhere at any point in history. In 2021, NVIDIA is developing a metaverse infrastructure project called Omniverse that will allow developers around the world to collaborate in real time to build metaverse content creation software. Students could explore the historical heritage of ancient civilization and architects through this project. Through Labs, Inc. is also working on technology to create realistic avatars which could reanimate historical figures using artificial intelligence. Interesting. Within the education sector, the metaverse could be used for immersive sized field trips anywhere at any point in history, which I read right. Metaverse could be used in the real estate sector for fully immersive virtual home tours. Home buyers could potentially tour homes located anywhere in the world from their own home via the metaverse. Boom! Let me give some gunshots for that. Okay. There is also new markets for virtual reality real estate in the form of NFTs. An example of this is Mars House, which is an NFT home that sold for $500K in 2021. Business owners will also be able to participate in the metaverse. They can offer virtual versions of their brick and mortar facilities, providing an upgrade online shopping experience. Customers could visit a virtual shopping mall and try out virtual 3D items that are in scales with real life size, which could reduce uncertainty in products when shopping online. Interesting. Let me see. I'm just looking at this. All right, I'm going to go through the technology, and I'm going to skip through this. The technology, metaverse infrastructure necessity for connectivity requires the use of a network or a server powered by computers. Now, my biggest question is how quantum computer will help facilitate this virtual reality. That's the question that I was asked if I want to ask anybody. But let's move on. The internet servers as the first iteration of the metaverse access point for the metaverse, including general purpose computers and smartphones. In addition to augmented reality, AR, mixed reality, MR, and virtual reality, VR, technologies. In 2021, there are multiple companies invested in research in metaverse-related technologies. Facebook bought VR companies Oculus in 2014, looking to build a new 3D social space with connected issues to bridge the gap between various services. Snapchat has been developing AR technology, augmented reality, that places complex custom avatars and filters over the real world in real time. A virtual environment is considered to be the most likely access point to the metaverse. The metaverse dependency on VR technology places limitations on its development and wide-scale adaptations. Limitations stemming from the balance between cost and design include the lack of quality graphics and lack of mobility, lightweight wireless headsets, lack of image quality, which is optimized for bulky wired VR goggle systems. Another issue for wide-scale adaptation of the technology is the cost, with the HTC Vive Pro 2 headset costing around the US of around $799 plus, which is $800, controls in 2021. Many high-end computers are incapable of powering VR machines. In 2016, NVIDIA estimate that 98% of computers on the market were incapable of handling the software required for an adequate virtual reality experience. which I didn't know that. More sophisticated sensors that can currently available are needed to make AR and VR movement more precision and visually overlays, more accurate with high image qualities, visual anchoring, movements tracking, and motion following all needs to be handled at a scale in order to support these improvements. The widespread adaptation of VR largely hinge on sophisticated sensors with the ability to reliably measure depth while consuming little amounts of battery power, all in portable and affordable models, which has not yet been efficiently produced at a large scale. Now, let me all right, let's go down. All right, let me go to the criticism and concerns. The term arose in the early 1990s and has come to be criticism as a method of public relations building using a purely speculative, overhyped concept based on existing technology. Information privacy in the metaverse is an area of concern because of companies involved will likely collect users' personal information through wearable devices and use interaction. Facebook is planning on persisting target advertisers within the metaverse, raising further worries related to the spread of misinformation and loss of personal privacy. Users' addictions is another concern for the development of a metaverse. Internet addiction disorder. Now guys, we already know that a lot of people during the, had spent a lot of money last year. A lot of people were at home, chilling, bored, couldn't do nothing but spend, that there's already addiction rate to certain things. But now to that, if they put it in the DSM 5 or 6, depending if they came out with a new damn book, that they could label internet use as another form of disorder addiction, which I'm not surprised. But I digress. Social media and video game addiction can have mental and physical repercussions over a prolonged period of time, such as depression, anxiety, and the one thing that hurts a lot of Americans, obesity. Experts are also concerned that the metaverse could be used as an escape from reality, which is the one thing which I will say when wrapping up the issues with that. The metaverse may magnify the polarization in society caused by media fragmentations and online echo chambers. Since the metaverse could algorithmically tailor virtual worlds based on each person's belief, the metaverse may further distort users' perception of reality with biased content to keep them engaged, which that's the greatest fear. But, like I said, we're going to hear from the man himself. Now, let me check one thing. Let me just look one more time before any other questions out here. Let's look at the questions. Okay. Someone put a link on about the brain. Okay. Will metaverse elevate the poor? That's another good question. The answer to that question is, let me do this.
Absolutely not.
And the reason why I say that, because if you're poor, you're just poor. Now, they said they're going to make this technology affordable for the regular consumers, but I don't know. I just don't know. Only time will tell. But I don't see anybody that's already in a financial hole or considered, quote unquote, really poor. And let me say this, because I'm listening to a lot of rooms lately about these new bills and tax codes and all stuff that y'all not aware of, that a lot of Americans that if you got a business, I'm going to say personally, if you're not making $500K or more in your little business, and roughly usually if you make $1 million, you're more even greater safe, you're working poor. And the reason I say is because you got to look at the taxes you're going to be paying if you're a self-proprietary business, which most people nowadays have a hustle. And you're going to start change how you hustle in the 21st century, especially moving forward in 2022. I'll leave it on that note. Y'all go to look up information on that. But to answer your question, no, I don't think so. Will the multiverse? Okay, this is going to be interesting. Yeah. Will the metaverse create a world of zombies? To be honest with you, with this question, a lot of people overall, if you live in a first world nation where you're constantly bombarded with, artificiality, fake food, things that's fake, people come sometimes fake, you already a walking zombie. By my definitions, to be fair and honest. You can't be any more zombified than what you already are in this first world nation, especially living in industrial cities. I hope that answered that question. A little small question. But nonetheless, let's hear from the man himself.
Hey, and welcome to Connect. Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse. I want to share what we imagine is possible, the experiences you'll have, the creative economy we'll all build, and the technology that needs to be invented, as well as how we're going to all do this together. The basic story of technology in our lifetimes is how it's given us the power to express ourselves and experience the world with ever greater richness. Back when I started Facebook, that mostly meant text that we typed on computers. Then we all got phones with cameras, and the internet became much more visual. And recently, as connections got faster, video has become the main way that we experience content. We've gone from desktop to web to phones, from text to photos to video, but this isn't the end of the line. The next platform and medium will be even more immersive, an embodied internet where you're in the experience, not just looking at it. And we call this the metaverse. And you're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. Get together with friends and family, work, learn, play, shop, create, as well as entirely new categories that don't really fit how we think about computers or phones today. Now, since we're doing this remotely today, I figured let's make this special. So we've put together something that I think is really going to give you a feeling for what this future could be like. We believe the metaverse will be the successor to the mobile internet. We'll be able to feel present, like we're right there with people, no matter how far apart we actually are. We'll be able to express ourselves in new, joyful, completely immersive ways, and that's going to unlock a lot of amazing new experiences. When I send my parents a video of my kids, they're going to feel like they're right in the moment with us, not peering through a little window. When you play a game with your friends, you'll feel like you're right there together in a different world, not just on your computer by yourself. And when you're in a meeting in the metaverse, it'll feel like you're right in the room together, making eye contact, having a shared sense of space, and not just looking at a grid of faces on a screen. That's what we mean by an embodied internet. Instead of looking at a screen, you're going to be in these experiences. Everything we do online today, connecting socially, entertainment, games, work, is going to be more natural and vivid. This isn't about spending more time on screens. It's about making the time that we already spend better. Screens just can't convey the full range of human expression and connection. They can't deliver that deep feeling of presence. But the next version of the internet can. That's what we should be working towards. Technology that's built around people and how we actually experience the world and interact with each other. That's what the metaverse is all about. Now, the best way to understand the metaverse is to experience it yourself, but it's a little tough because it doesn't fully exist yet. Some of the basic building blocks are here, though, and others are starting to emerge as we speak. We're starting to get a sense of how it could all come together and what it could feel like. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. Rather than just focusing on this year's product like a normal keynote, we're going to talk about the future. So let's start by exploring what different kinds of metaverse experiences could feel like, starting with the most important experience of all, connecting with people. Imagine.
Hope y'all get that so far. Like I said before. And interesting enough that with this newfound creation that's going to be put forth throughout the whole world in 2022 at most, that people are going to experience and move in different fashion than they no other person experience. And personally, in my opinion, I don't see it as a really bad thing for those that will entertain this technology. Mostly it's going to be people that's Gen Zs and newer millennial wise, and I just create that. Other ones that's going to be more prone to this technology. Hell, you think most of your children already are knowing how a smartphone and tablet works without even with a little effort. You try to teach this to your older parents or your grandparents, they won't know what the hell this thing is. But you give it in the hands to a toddler or a child that's 5 years or younger. They'll know what it is. They know how to operate much better than you. And, well, not me, because I understand technology a little bit, but they'll understand better than, most people that's Gen Xers and baby boomers. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting when he goes into more detail of it. And normally, if y'all watch it for yourselves, which y'all could, you'll know what he's really showing you and talking about in more detail. So let's continue on.
You put on your glasses or headset and you're instantly in your home space. It has parts of your physical home recreated virtually. It has things that are only possible virtually. And it has an incredibly inspiring view of whatever you find most beautiful.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just got to find something to wear. All right, perfect.
Boy.
Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, what's going on?
Hi.
Mark.
What's up, Mark?
Whoa, we're floating in space?
Uh-huh.
Who made this place? It's awesome.
Right? It's from a crater I met in L.A.
This place is amazing.
Boz, is that you?
Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
Whoa.
I knew you were bluffing.
Hey, wait. Where is Naomi?
Let's call her.
Naomi.
Hey, should we deal you in?
Hey, sorry I'm running late, but you've got to see what we're checking out. There's an artist going around Soho hiding AR pieces for people to find.
3D street art? That's cool.
Send that link over so we can all look at it. This is stunning.
Okay, that is something.
It's awesome. Wow.
I love the movement.
Wait, it's disappearing.
This is amazing.
Hold on. I'll tip the artist and they'll extend it.
Wow. Brilliant.
If you guys like it here, I have another room that you're going to love. Check out this forest room.
Huh, let's see it.
Koi fish that fly? That's new.
This is wild. Hey, one sec, Boz. It's Priscilla.
Hey, you have to see this. Beast is going crazy.
Oh, I love that guy. We've got to show that to the kids. Can you also send that to my dad?
I'll message him.
All right, see you at home. This place is great, Boz, but there's something I got to get back to. All right, so that's a glimpse of a few ways that we're going to be able to get together and socialize in the metaverse.
Now, what you're hearing and witnessing is a virtual three-dimensional of life in the VR. Not in the DR, but the VR especially. And all you have what you've seen throughout TV shows, well-interacted, well-versed movies, mostly dealing with technology and the what-ifs, you see now in the metaverse. And if you remember, like how we have the holographs, if y'all remember that, and they mind you, they do have that technology now as we speak, but it's not rolled in like what we see now because VR is what we know right now. That you can now see the virtual reality of things, even the holograph of things like calling your cell phone. It's not like you hold a cell phone in your hand. It's like the cell phone will pop up, last time I checked, through your hand. And, hold on. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's because I'm looking at it, And it goes the same way. So it's like you could scroll through like your wrist and the virtual reality, and they could see you interact, making a call. And mind you, the call you see in the virtual reality sector of things, you can see someone actually video calling through the VR lens. So if somebody's interacting calling from you, from their cell phone, FaceTime you could see their FaceTime through virtual reality. Isn't it amazing? It's stunning. I like say so myself. And you could switch between different worlds. Let's say it. So if you're using WhatsApp app and all the other technologies, it's all in synchronized. So I mean, if I'm in the physical world and I turn on WhatsApp app and I share a video in live form, you will see it through your VR lens and virtual reality of your virtual self. That's the power of what we call the metaverse. Before I continue, let me just take a look at the board. Okay, everybody's listening. That's good. All right. Let me see if anybody's saying anything. Oh, and yeah, they have international traveling. Yes, they do. That's the beautiful thing about virtual reality. You could move from different parts of the globe virtually. So when you were talking about that teleportation nonsense, only that could be accomplished through VR. And trust me, it's kind of cool. But let's move on.
It's a ways off, but you can start to see some of the fundamental building blocks take shape. First, the feeling of presence. This is the defining quality of the metaverse. You're going to really feel like you're there with other people. You'll see their facial expressions, you'll see their body language, maybe figure out if they're actually holding a winning hand. All the subtle ways that we communicate that today's technology can't quite deliver. Next, there are avatars, and that's how we're going to represent ourselves in the metaverse. Avatars will be as common as profile pictures today, but instead of a static image, they're going to be living 3D representations of you. Your expressions, your gestures, that are going to make interactions much richer than anything that's possible online today. You'll probably have a photorealistic avatar for work, a stylized one for hanging out, and maybe even a fantasy one for gaming. You're going to have a wardrobe of virtual clothes for different occasions, designed by different creators and from different apps and experiences. Importantly, you should be able to bring your avatar and digital items across different apps and experiences in the metaverse. Beyond.
Now, one question that no one asked Mr. Zuckerberg: will people that's able to create virtual digitized clothing, will they able to make a fee through cryptocurrency? Because like most games, if y'all remember from PlayStation Network and maybe other formats of avatars, that normally those clothing you have are not going to be for free. You have to pay and buy those clothes in PlayStation Store, Microsoft Store, etc. I think Fortnite was a testament of how you had to pay, buy things from special costumes to even special dance moves. So with VR now, I wonder if that's going to be the same as well. But only time will tell.
Beyond avatars, there is your home space. You're going to be able to design it to look the way you want, maybe put up your own pictures and videos and store your digital goods. You're going to be able to invite people over, play games, and hang out. You'll also even have a home office where you can work. Your home is your personal space from which you can teleport to anywhere you want. Now, speaking of teleporting, there are going to be all kinds of different spaces that people make. Rooms like the ones that we just saw, but also games and whole worlds that you can teleport in and out of whenever you want. Teleporting around the metaverse is going to be like clicking a link on the internet. It's an open standard. In order to unlock the potential of the metaverse, there needs to be interoperability. And that goes beyond just taking your avatar and digital items across different apps and experiences, which we are already building an API to support. You want to know that when you buy something or create something, that your items will be useful in a lot of contexts, and you're not going to be locked into one world or platform. You want to know that you own your items, not a platform. Now, this is going to require not just technical work, like some of the important projects that are going on around crypto and NFTs in the community now. It's also going to take ecosystem building, norm setting, and new forms of governance. And this is something that we're really going to focus on. Privacy and safety need to be built into the metaverse from day one. You'll get to decide when you want to be with other people, when you want to block someone from appearing in your space, or when you want to take a break and teleport to a private bubble to be alone. You're going to be able to bring things from the physical world into the metaverse. Almost any type of media that can be represented digitally, photos, videos, art, music, movies, books, games, you name it. Now, lots of things that are physical today, like screens, will just be able to be holograms in the future. You won't need a physical TV. It'll just be a $1 hologram from some high school kid halfway across the world. And you'll be able to take your items and project them into the physical world as holograms in augmented reality too. You're going to be able to move across these different experiences on all kinds of different devices, sometimes using virtual reality so you're fully immersed, sometimes using augmented reality glasses so you can be present in the physical world as well, and sometimes on a computer or phone so you can quickly jump into the metaverse from existing platforms. There are going to be new ways of interacting with devices that are much more natural. Instead of typing or tapping, you're going to be able to gesture with your hands, say a few words, or even just make things happen by thinking about them. Your devices won't be the focal point of your attention anymore. Instead of getting in the way, they're going to give you a sense of presence in the new experiences that you're having and the people who you're with. Now, these are some of the basic concepts for the metaverse. And while this may sound like science fiction, we're starting to see a lot of these technologies coming together. In the next 5 or 10 years, a lot of this is going to be mainstream. And a lot of us will be creating and inhabiting worlds that are just as detailed and convincing as this one on a daily basis. So even though it's still a long way off, we're starting to work on some of these foundational concepts today. Horizon is the social platform that we're building for people to create and interact in the metaverse.
Oh, for those that's watching and listening, and I know y'all watching and listening, please hit the like button, share this, have the discussion. One thing you must know, this technology has been in development for years now, maybe a decade or two. And only thing you know with time, because time is your best friend, it's just redefined and much more improved as things become more smaller and there's more things put into these smaller devices. And we could probably go by the laws of Moore's law. With everything, there's more things got put like capacitors, chips, resistors, etc. But that only applies on the device itself to hold and harvest these powerful things. To know that, the what they call the VR glasses is one thing. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. They also got things right now that's self-stars right now that they are producing and with help with Kickstart funds to have actual goggles, meaning glasses that are able to run your app. So you put it on, you're able to see apps firsthand. They do have this out here in the market now. For those that's not familiar. How I know? Because I see them advertise it constantly and looking for money and investments to make this present for mainstream. So while you think that the VR glasses are somewhat expensive, you have no idea that they already have it in design technology as we speak to make it much more, not only a little bit expensive, but also more smaller. Hell, they got Innovator. I think that's what it's called. that is a technology where they're now taking what we call certain what do you call lenses, contact lenses, computerized contact lenses. They're able to interact with your retina once you put it in your eye, and you're able to enhance it and use the technology for focusing and vision enhancement with glasses. That's something for y'all to really ponder on. Let me see if there's any questions. Yeah, I see some questions now. Yeah, it sounds dope. I wish they could create a teleporter to order food. Yeah, in time. East Coast, thank you for dropping by my live stream. Okay, sorry about that. You never thank me when I pop in. Well, thank you, MJ. Oh no, you're talking about Smith. Okay. Yeah, and I see Mr. X here. You know he doesn't want to listen to these conversations because it doesn't involve women and pussy. And I get it because, that's not the time for it tonight or, this stream occasionally. We are talking about some serious things. We're talking about geek stuff, that boring shit, that stuff that most people are afraid to talk about. Every time I say, oh, you're going to be mind controlled, something's going to happen to your brain if you really mess with this technology. Oh, be quiet, silly. Embrace the technology. It is beautiful. It's wonderful. It will not kill you yet. But, nonetheless, you should understand it and know and master it nonetheless. And the problem with a lot of people is you got to embrace the 21st century. This is the generation of 21st century. For those who do not well to adapt in your new environment, you will cease to exist. You will, if not careful.
Perish.
So, like I said, to those that still afraid of technology or find this type of conversation boring, I don't know what to say. Just hold a nice little relaxing, but I ain't gonna say it. Let's continue on.
One part of this is Horizon Home, which is our early vision for a home space in the metaverse. Horizon Home is the first thing that you'll see when you put on your Quest headset. Today, there are already a bunch of options to choose from, and in the future, anyone will be able to create one. We've just called it Home until now because it's been missing something very important: people. Soon, we're going to be introducing a social version of Home, where you can invite your friends to join you as avatars. You'll be able to hang out, watch videos together, and jump into apps together. Then, there is Horizon Worlds, which is where you can build worlds and jump into them with people. Horizon is designed to make it possible for everyone to create, and we're already seeing people build some really interesting experiences, from creating new games together to throwing surprise parties in VR that family and friends around the world can join. We started rolling out Horizon Worlds in beta last year, and we're adding more people and more worlds every day. And we also just launched Horizon Workrooms earlier this year for collaboration. Beyond Horizon, we're also making it easier to communicate with your friends across different layers of reality. This year, we're bringing messenger calls to virtual reality. You're going to be able to invite your friends to a messenger call, and soon you'll be able to explore somewhere together or join a game. Now, these are the kinds of tools that need to get built so that you can jump into the metaverse with your friends from anywhere. And they're going to unlock some pretty amazing experiences. Now, let's move on from some of these basic concepts and people just connecting to a completely different set of experiences around entertainment and gaming.
Now, before he goes to the gaming side of things, to let y'all know that this is where the meat and potatoes really is of the real power of the metaverse and I say this personally, that to make things intriguing and keep people interactive, you gotta make it fun, like anything else. You're not gonna download an app unless you feel that is something that will keep your attention span going using the app. It makes it more funner to use. And when most people that create apps, their intention is to do two things: not only make it profitable, make it user friendly for the user to use it, so that way they continue to use and download the app. I think one thing that that people don't really pay attention is how you're going to be more using the interactive of the worldly end. And right now, as I'm looking at the video side of things, I see that people could play cards. I wonder if they can play dominoes or chess, which I think they'll have. No one hasn't developed yet. Hope they do. But let's say they haven't done yet. They'll take anybody that's, tech savvy to come up with some games for the metaverse. I'm just saying. It would be nice. Let me see what's in the, if anybody has any questions. As a matter of fact, let me check this. Matter of fact, before I continue, let me take one caller. Caller, you there? Caller? Hello?
You hear me, Gary?
Yeah, very good.
All right. So, real quick, I'll just say, because I know you're going to go back into it, I'll just say, for what I understand, is he's trying to bring the people together, but he's also trying to separate. So this is why I say that. Two things. He's going to bring the people to interact virtually more. So now you're not interacting in person, but it makes it a realistic feeling through the virtual world, right, with all these devices that cost money for you to purchase, and you're probably going to have to, maybe the apps might be free, but there's going to be some type of service or some way, somehow, they're going to monetize this. So I'm saying, from what I see, what he's doing is basically trying to get more resources or more tools to keep you online even longer than just you checking your Facebook. Because basically, he said, okay, if we could incorporate all these other things and keep them on basically more hours in the virtual world than you are in your real world, right? So imagine you just going to work and then you dedicate the rest of your time just to be online. You're getting less sleep. You're just online. That's it. You can make purchases. You can interact, go to parties, everything that you do in the real world virtually. Why is that? I mean, it's good and bad, but I'm just saying, like, I'd rather go out to a party in person. But anyway, I guess, they're going to bring this fantasy world where it feels realistic, and this is where you're going to have people, the relationships of human interaction is going to change slightly. You're going to have people that think differently because of the way they are dealing with other human beings through this virtual world. So that's where I see that. That's all. And I mean, you could keep going into it. And it is all a game. You say you're going to go into the games. Well, guess what? This is all a game. Because what are you benefiting besides, you can communicate with people. Who's really benefiting off of this? I would say Facebook, because the longer he keeps you on those apps on his website, the more money he gets from advertisers and companies that are putting money behind his company. That's all. I'll leave it there.
Well, one thing before you go, Big J, JNYC, becomes calculating how long I'm going to run this. You got to understand, the whole purpose of anything you create is to keep people using the device, the application, period. Because that's where the money is, overall. because the more you're spending time on it, the more you're going to be bombarded by advertisement, which was the biggest issue out of everything. Even with the thing with the election, the last election and stuff, the only reason why that was possible because people are constantly using social media as a whole to know what's going on. You get me? And to get what is the trends, who's following who, what's the lead, what's going on. They're using it more to get not only the information, but to really follow certain people to see if this is the right person to vote. So it's another tool and weapon to not only form of manipulation, but to get people psyched in to constantly give their time and energy where they will potentially spend money. Because with advertisements, the only reason advertisements are really effective is how long you're constantly watching the platform. And with the right advertisement, you're going to spend money. I don't care what it is. It could be a worthless product. You keep putting it in front of your eyeballs constantly times, you're going to spend money. That's how they get people addicted and spend money on fast food. You have to constantly see a good product or a lousy product every day. And eventually, in your back of your mind, you go, maybe I need to try this. That's how it works. So with this move,
is the key.
It is always the key. That's where the money really is in advertisement. Yeah. Yeah.
So the whole point of this Facebook thing, I mean, again, in the beginning, maybe he didn't think it was about that. He probably didn't have that idea.
It was always about that.
No, he didn't, because he did it for college. He did it for college. In the beginning, it wasn't the thought process. When they started making that money and you start bringing in people that know how to monetize things and started seeing everything was a money opportunity, then it got like that. Because all these platforms that are the way they are now, they didn't start off like that in the beginning, because they were not I would say they always had intentions of making and profiting and making some type of money, because you don't do nothing for nothing, right? For the most part with a business or on the social media, but they didn't intend it to be as big as it was. And what happened was the greed came in. So now you got Facebook that he sees all the money that could be generated through keeping people on there. Yeah, he was happy when they started making people come on and be a couple of hours, but then he sees people could be there longer, and they had tools to keep people on longer. So for what I'm saying is that moving forward, that all this shit is about money now. It's about money. Sole purpose is about money. It was first about the product, and in the sense of what there was, the services they were providing, communication. I believe that he genuinely wanted to communicate people with the world, but somebody got in his ear, or somebody was, when he was developing this, saying, listen, you can collect all the people's data information, and then you can go to advertisers and companies, and you can get them to advertise on your website, and then if you could see the way they're interacting on the internet, which means that you can record their information on what they're doing during the browsing time, right? Now you can make more money. So I think that the greed just got crazy. Again, it was one thing that you had 1 million or 2 million people on your website sign up for a free account and go on maybe once, an hour or two a day, and they were cool with that. They was like, oh, we generating, we got millions of people, they online maybe 1 hour, 2 hours a day checking their Facebook, but they started making money, and then somebody got in their ear and said, listen, if you can keep people on here longer, you can generate a lot more money. And that's where the greed came in. So I think that all these companies, YouTube, everybody's, you could use advertisement. You could put advertisement in everything. Now you notice that everything that you're going on Facebook, there's always an advertisement. If you go on YouTube, there's an advertisement in the beginning, in the middle, all over. It's about advertisement. So I just say that it got out of control in the sense of it's just purely about advertisement now. It's like television. And it's going to get regulated like television at some point. Remember I said that. That's on the record. It's going to get regulated like television at some point.
Well, come on to the next call, Jay. And
good show, subject matter, too. I'm glad you switching it up, and I support what you're doing, brother. Whether they like it or not, whoever don't like it, too bad. But I like what you're doing. You always switching it up, and you're a good host. So I'm going to sit back, you know, and listen. Go ahead, brother.
One thing, Big J, we got to understand, and I got to think at the end of the day, if I'm creating anything, and I have to think now in a more capitalist, predatory fashion, that everything that I design and create, regardless is for fun, leisure, etc., there has to be a form of profit. Now, what Mark Zuckerberg told people 14, hell, even 17 years ago when he first created the Facebook back in 2004, that it was just a college experiment, right? But if you remember the movies, that people that knew him or around him said this could be something more. And obviously, with anything you create, you always got it at the end of the day monetize it, because if you don't control it, someone else will. So in regards, the profit potential was potentially there. As time progressed and technology starts to improve, and now we have faster internet, you look at how people are more using devices and going on the net and socializing. This is what's going to happen, and this is the way of the future of human beings and how they're going to operate in this new digital technical age we're in. And I remember covering the dangers of social media disease by one guy, Sam Backman. Well, he back in the early 2000s, how when they first designed what we call blogs, where people used to communicate. And one thing through the research they discovered is that people have a certain mentality, which was really bothering some once they start investing and harboring through digital space, that it creates a certain monster in people, because now you can see their real intentions and how they interact through digital space. And people that sees thousands of people saying and projecting negative things, it bothers the average human being if they're not strong mentally, psyche. You can hear it from most women. They can't be around certain people and take certain criticism through digital space. You hear always cyberbullying. It is real, and it is very problematic, because people, when they see people post nasty comments on stuff, it bothers your psyche and soul. You know, that makes you want to do something. So they know the power and dangers of social media. So now when he came around with the Facebook, come on, we had MySpace and all this stuff 20 years ago and stuff, but it never really sustained itself, because this platform, what we call Facebook, kind of took over in the next couple of years after that. That it's a harbor and a ground for people to really exude their inner ambitions through text. One time you look at it, one time it said, "What's on your mind?" Now you change to say, "What's happening?" Also, because running psych games on you to know what is really what you're thinking. So you put and project it through digital imprints. So with people that don't have the knowledge or wherewithal how to use social media effectively and properly, you will get lost.
It'll use you.
There you go. And this
so
is why
you gotta know, social media, when we say social media too, a lot of people just pass by the word. Look, it's media by the people that are socialized, the regular average Joe. So I'm saying, I think, that in the beginning it was not a social experiment, but people were doing research prior, because you got to think about it. Before there was no internet, they had to, they was taking surveys, they was checking, studying people through television, things like that, with ratings and knowing, with Nielsen. That's how they knew how who was watching what at what time, and this, that, the other. But I think that as we got into the internet, it was, semi-social experiment in the sense of, I think that Facebook was learning as they were going. So they knew some of the stuff, but they didn't know everything. Yes. And as they went on and on, like you said, technology got better, but also the numbers got higher. You see, when they first started, they didn't have billions of people or million people. It started with several thousand, and it grew and it grew. And as time progressed, I think, again, with technology, the numbers, people came in, people in the business sector, people studying the way internet is starting to function. Because, again, in the beginning, they really didn't know what was going to really happen. But some people had ideas, and people in that type of marketing and advertisement knew that this would be a place that they can utilize to advertise products. And again, the companies that capitalized off of this, it was, again, not an accident, but they didn't know 100%, because if that was the case, there would have been like 5 other Facebooks before that, or there would have been during that time. There was some websites that were really good in the very beginning and maybe too ahead of their time, but I'm saying that they didn't know it was going to get this crazy this fast. I believe so. And that's why you got, they was able to adjust and utilize even people in government, where you see that they have prolonged laws to come into play through the internet, right? So you would have thought that the internet would have had, they had basic laws, but it didn't have FCC type of rules and things like that before it came online. So I'm saying that here we are 21 years later, if you want to say, or 26 years later, 1995, but let's just say 2000, where it started becoming where most people could afford, or a lot of people could afford a computer.
Around the late 90s.
Right, because and even I knew it, like you said, it was about $1,000, $2,000 for a desktop computer. Even in 1999, 2000, it was still expensive. So not everybody had a computer. But let's just go down, start off in 2000, 2021. How many people have the numbers grown from that time till now? How much technology has advanced? And for me, like I said, they're looking at this as just definitely monetizing. But what I want to say is the main point is they had 21 years to come with rules. They only have basic rules, certain things that we all know that you can't do on the internet, right? But for the most part, for the social media, they have a wiggle room. And you haven't seen Zuckerberg as many times they sanctioned him or told him, you got to go to D.C. to talk to them. They had the Google CEO, YouTube CEO, Twitter. Guess what? Slap on the wrist. It says, listen, you guys better get it together. Make sure y'all stop the false information and the advertising.
Imagine your best friend is at a concert somewhere across the world.
There you go. Wait. Go ahead. Wait.
Zuckerberg. Wait. Let me see what's going on. Somebody just entered the room. Who's that? Wait. Let me make sure. Someone's at the board.
They're going to create a Zuckerburger. We're going to have a Zuckerburger.
Wait, 1 second.
Go ahead.
1 second. Let me contact somebody. All right, let me open next line. Make sure. Okay. Call it open line. Who's this?
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Adwa.
How you doing, Lady Adwa? You have any short questions? Go ahead. Because I want to continue playing, but go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
You want to continue what?
No. What's your question?
Go ahead. Go on and do what you're going to do. Go ahead.
No. I want you, because you wait online, you have some questions. I'll try
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go and do what you got to do.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lady Adwa. Okay, let me continue on with the audio.
What if you could be there with her?
Sneakers. I never had a car. Yeah. You're here. Just tell it like it is. Love how you live. When you're doing what you're doing, just tell the truth. Just tell it. Just tell it. Just tell it. Just tell it.
Different set of experiences are on entertainment and gaming. Also making it easier to communicate with. At the end of the day, it is really the creators and developers who are going to build the different set of experiences are on entertainment. Horizon is designed, which is our early vision.
Jumping in now.
What if there was an after party that anyone could go to, no matter where they were?
This is wild.
Hey, check this out. Charity auction happening.
Oh, there's swag.
And when you go to the after party, you could connect with other fans, hear new versions of your favorite songs, and check out the merch that just dropped.
Ooh, I like that one.
Well, now you've got to get it.
You can start to see how the metaverse is going to enable richer experiences by letting us add new layers to the world that we can interact with. Creators and artists are going to be able to connect with their audiences in new ways and really bring them into these shared experiences. Now, there's a lot that needs to get built to create experiences like this, but we're working on some of these pieces right now with Spark AR. First, we're building tools that creators can use to place digital objects into the physical world and let people interact with them. And rather than just simple visual effects, new creator capabilities will support 3D objects that can respond and react realistically, including a realistic sense of depth and occlusion. In the next year, we're also adding the ability for creators to connect different physical locations into cohesive augmented reality storytelling experiences, like guided tours or scavenger hunts. We're also building a Horizon marketplace, where creators can sell and share 3D digital items. And our hope is that this will enable a lot more commerce and help grow the overall metaverse economy. Because at the end of the day, it is really the creators and developers who are going to build the metaverse and make this real. And to make sure that there's an ecosystem that can sustain hundreds of thousands of people working on this, which is what we're going to need to bring this to life, then it's critical that creators and developers can make a good living doing this work. Now, if you ask people today what they thought the metaverse was, a lot of people would probably say it was a Spider-Man movie. But the people who actually follow the space would say it's about gaming. And that's because gaming provides many of the most immersive experiences, and it is the biggest entertainment industry by far. Gaming in the metaverse is going to span from immersive experiences in fantasy worlds to bringing simple games into our everyday lives through holograms. Maybe you'll play old games in new ways.
So, Barcelona, huh?
Well, it's not New York, but I like it.
New York misses you.
What's that?
I said, let me put my game face on so I can beat you.
Ah, okay. Check.
I gotta try another game face next time.
Maybe you'll go head-to-head with players from around the world.
It's like a shop.
Some call it skill.
He's talking.
Or maybe you'll do things that aren't even possible in gaming today.
Hey Mark, down for a VR foiling sesh?
Now this is more my style.
Classic look. All right. Nice. Oh, nice choice, Mark. Ready to shred. All right, here we go.
Whoa.
Oh, hang in there, Mark.
That's not good.
Hit this section, boom. All right, backflip. Yoo-hoo.
I've got an idea.
Hey, where are you going?
Gotta pump it to jump it.
What? I didn't even know that was an option. You're not going to catch me now. Take that, unicorn. Oh, Tube City.
Kai, you're out of control.
Don't worry, I'll let you win next time. All good. Oh, that was a close one. You want to go again?
Maybe later. I'm going to need a lot more sunscreen, though. Oh, man. Well, gaming is how a lot of people are going to step into the metaverse for the first time. It already has some of the most fully built-out digital goods and the most active creator and developer communities, and major platforms like Epic are working to build out the metaverse, starting with gaming. For our part, we're heavily investing in building a healthy VR and AR ecosystem, so the game studios can keep building and gaming creators can keep creating. Now, Deb from our studios team is joining me. Deb, do you want to take us through some of the exciting games in the pipeline for Quest?
Absolutely. Over the years.
One thing. For those that listen, please hit the like button, share the screen, and always leave a comment at the end of this YouTube/podcast. before he goes and interviews a woman, if you're not aware of what Epic Games is in line with Unreal Engine, a very strong gaming platform to create games, 3D games, or all forms of games. And one of the famous games that uses the Unreal Engine technology are Mortal Kombat, I think Grand Theft Auto, some first-person shooters, I think Modern Warfare, possibly, could be wrong. But that's what Unreal Engine is, part of Epic Gaming. And they are working heavily with Metaverse and all other forms of things to create more interactive VR gaming. For those that's not known, you could also do further research and Google more what Epic Games is. So I just want to give that for those who's not familiar with Epic Games is. Your mic is open late hour. If you have any questions, I do want to mute because I do hear feedback. You there, Lady Idol?
Hello?
Yeah, I just hear feedback. So if you have any questions, I could answer them.
I'm just, I'm interested in what this topic that you have. You're talking about a metasphere, or meta.
No, meta universe, metaverse.
Oh, meta universe.
Yeah, it's actually Metaverse, not Meta Universe, but Metaverse. But it's like another form of universe.
Metaverse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a space that's created for gaming, and you said something about that there were hundreds of thousands of creators, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are ones. There are many creators as we speak trying to implement and add things to this metaverse. There are a lot of people in the works right now with this. Yes.
So actually, these different networks are taking information from the people and providing more information for those who are participating. It's really, I'm trying to understand because, see, when I look at technology, I see that the human, the being, the person, the living person, their skill set is diminished, although they pick up skills on the computer. Now, my example would be like you, at one time before you had the Android phones, you knew everybody's phone number in your head. And now, Correct. Because of this phone, right, we just put names in and we don't learn the numbers, which means that you're not exercising a skill that you have, right?
You're not exercising your memory capacity to retain and memory basics.
Right. Yeah. But the information that you need is being provided by another entity, right? So when they talk about the dumbing down of people, masses of people, this is a tool that does it. This very thing that you're talking about, that you're promoting, this metasphere, this metaverse, this 5G, this faster internet connection,
Lady Awa?
All the connection,
It's not something I'm promoting. It's I'm bringing it to attention.
No. I'm not saying, well, okay. This is a topic that you've brought to us. So when I say promoting, that's what I meant. Not necessarily that.
Like actual promoting, say, get this. Okay.
This is your creation or anything.
Right,
but I've heard, but in the conversation I've heard where you talked about commerce and how money can be made. So if I get involved in this, there's the possibility of my being able to make money doing what I'm doing. If it's in the gaming, you're betting on games, you're doing a number of things, right? You could be buying products and selling products to people who you're interacting on the computer. But my point is that, yes, technology is good, but what is it, how does the human truly benefit in building intelligence and whatnot? Are they really, really benefiting, or are they being dumbed down?
Now, that is a question that every person should always contemplate and think long and hard. Well, let's look at our society today, Lady Awa. Does the average male today know how to do basic stuff with their hands, from what you're seeing?
Well, no. No, people don't. People don't.
Has this always been the case for the last, let's say, 35 years?
No, that has not always been the case.
Okay. So even the question is to answer it, that this is, like many things, a form of dumbing down the being itself, the human flesh, the body itself, and making it dependent on this new thing we call technology, even to the point now we are in the stage of automations. Things are self-automate, because the times and the things you see now is that the human body and the physicality of things is slowly being, like I want to call, obsolete, and now we have a machinery do the work for us. And mind you, this is not something that's new. They always project this through media, through movies, to tell you what if, the possibilities of what the Earth will look like in the next 40, 50 years, moving forward in the 21st century. And we could all conclude that we are going to be moving forward into higher forms of technology. Less industrialization, things that is going to run and do things easy. One time you used to wash your hands with a hand. Now you put it through a machine and it does it for you. Things that normally human beings take time and energy to do, that it makes their life easy. And this also will play to how we look at ourselves in relationships, to the need of each other for basic stuff, if we want to go deeper. But we're not go that deep. But let's say we go there. That the environment we in, we're in the first world nation, everything is given to us in our disposal with ease. Now, if we've gone back to places that's not fully developed, emerging industrialization and technology, you have to go back to old-fashioned ways. And what you're seeing right now, Lady Ottawa, is you're slowly seeing the world, as we speak, in the next 25 years, be as modern like we're here in the first world nations. It won't get there fast, but they're surely going to start get there now, because there's so much soil and land that needs to be super technically industrialized, that you're going to see technology that we have in our fingertips makes it much faster now. Now, the biggest question,
what happens to the human resource? What happens to the human resource if everything is going to be robotics? If every place you go to work, you don't have any human contact, what happens to the human? I'm just asking questions.
And that question should be answered. Well, one thing you will see, there's going to be less necessity for human beings. What I mean by this, they always talk about overpopulation of people. So what you do with undesirable or people that consider what they consider overpopulated, you solely, what the word I like to say, obsolete them, but not by physicality, but by the environment itself. You get me? What I mean, in industrial environments, Lady Ottawa, there's less need for children, unless you live in rural areas where children is a necessity. But when you're in industrial places, cities, clusters, and technology now, you see people that so-called make more money, and I say so-called, that the need to have one or 3 or 4 children is less because of not only resource but finance, and to keep up with the Joneses. I hope that makes sense. You get me? So that's how they do to slowly.
What you're saying is very scary to me. We
live in a scary times, Lady Hour, and I have to be honest to the person that asked the question. As much as I don't want to answer that question, but I have to be honest as a man to answer to the question that is really not uncomfortable to be here. Now, before we move forward late hour, because I want to get another 30 minutes off this, then I'll probably go open this up. Anything else? Because I do want to answer quick, but I want to just go through this so that way I'll leave the floor for anything. Is that cool?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And for those that wants to call in, let me see if I can find the call-in number. The call number for today's stream is 712-770-4160. The access code is 917-324-POUND. I repeat, 712-770-4160. Access code 917-324-POUND. Today's subject, Chaos Rain presents The Metaverse, Chaos Theory, Episode 9. Let's continue.
We've had the opportunity to work with incredible developers like Vertigo Games, the studio behind fan favorite Arizona Sunshine.
I love Arizona Sunshine. That game basically got me and my friends through the first few months of the pandemic.
That's awesome. If you enjoyed that, Mark, I think you'll be excited that we're partnering with Vertigo on 5 more great games from Deep Silver and others. We'll share more about this lineup very soon.
Nice. What else is coming?
Well, the metaverse is constantly evolving. So one of the most important aspects will be live service games that launch updates and new downloadable content regularly, like Echo VR, Beat Saber, Onward, Pistol Whip, and more. We're focused on this a lot right now, making sure games can build out active communities. Beat Saber has a passionate community.
Oh, I love Beat Saber.
So do I. And Beat Saber just passed $100 million in lifetime revenue on Quest alone. It's a great example of a game that keeps releasing fresh content. They've actually been working on evolving the way that you interact with the tracks and feel the music. Also, the team has been working on something really cool. Check this out. I can't wait to play this. And they keep partnering with incredible artists to release new music packs all the time. Did you play the Billie Eilish music pack last month?
Yeah, a little more than I should have. I probably should have been working more on this Metaverse presentation.
Well, they have a great lineup of artists for 2022. And there's one more epic surprise before the end of the year. So stay tuned. Okay, have you played Population 1?
I mean, yeah, I love the game so much.
For those who haven't, Population 1 is a thrilling battle royale that is only possible in VR. Since its launch at Connect last year, it has become one of the highest earning games on Quest and the biggest multiplayer FPS on the platform. You can have up to 24 people in at once for a match. We're super excited to keep launching big updates, like an all-new autumn event later in November and a Winter Wonderland update in December. Okay, here's something I know our community has been waiting for.
Lay it on us.
All right, this is a title from the Warp Frog team. This is the team that set the standard for VR combat physics when it launched on Rift in 2019. That's right, Blade and Sorcery Nomad, the built for VR medieval fantasy sandbox that pairs magic with melee, is launching on Quest later this year. For more gaming updates, look out for the 2022 Oculus Gaming Showcase. It's going to be loaded with news you won't want to miss. But Mark, I believe you have some news for us as well.
Yeah, I have to say, it's really impressive to see this lineup come together over the last few years, but there's one project that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, this is one of the all-time greats, and we've been working for years to bring it to Quest.
I'm excited to announce that the Rockstar Games classic Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is in development for Quest 2. This new version of what I think is one of the greatest games ever made will offer players an entirely new way to experience this iconic open world in virtual reality.
That's it, Mark. I'm moving to the Metaverse.
All right, thanks, Deb. This is going to be amazing. Now, a lot of the most interesting games out there take advantage of how you can move around physically. Being able to look anywhere, move freely, it's just a fundamentally different experience from staring at a screen. This quality of being physically embodied and able to interact with the world and move around inside it, that opens up some completely new experiences that didn't really make sense before on 2D phones or computers. And one example that we are seeing take off is fitness. And speaking of that, I think it's time for my workout. A lot of you are already using Quest to stay fit. It lets you work out in some completely new ways. It's kind of like a Peloton, but instead of a bike, you just have your VR headset, and with it you can do anything from boxing lessons to sword fighting to even dancing. You'll be able to work out in new worlds, even against an AI. Maybe you'll get some friends together for some 3-on-3. Maybe play pickup with people on the other side of the world. Or imagine your Facebook cycling group does an AR charity ride. Let's go! Complete with a leaderboard. Maybe you'll be able to train with the best, like you're right there with them. Like Lee Kiefer, Olympic gold medalist.
On guard. Fence. Don't be scared this time. You seem like a natural.
Whoa. Alright, that's a little too realistic. See you later, Lee. That was fun.
Good job, Mark.
And that's what fitness will be like in the metaverse. Now, I think we're going to see a lot more unique experiences emerging around fitness that take advantage of the full immersion in interactive training. Speaking of which, Supernatural just added boxing to its lineup, FitXR has new fitness studios coming next year, and Player 22 by Rezel, which is currently used by pro athletes, is adding guided and hand-tracked bodyweight exercises soon. We're making a fitness accessories pack that makes Quest 2 more comfortable with controller grips for when things get a bit intense and a facial interface that you can wipe the sweat off of, making your sessions more comfortable. And that's all coming next year. But enough with the fun and games. It's time for everyone's favorite, work. Over the last year and a half.
Oh, for those that, let me check. Oh, good. Almost halfway here. Let me stop. Okay. Let me check if anybody has anything. Questions. Okay, that's good. Make sure you guys like the video. That's the gaming side of things. And fitness is going to be the more intriguing one because, let's be honest, the question was asked early into this, I would say broadcast, in regards to, what I read for the Wikipedia side of the potential of obesity. I think if this is done correctly, which it's going to be, you might not be concerned about obesity in America if Metaverse is designed and structured properly for those that will use it to its full potential. Because let's be honest, majority of Americans are fat. The highest is women. And God knows, we know the black community is big. Our women are big, and not going into detail about that. But let's say how to make exercise better. Make it fun. This might be the thing that will be a necessity to make that happen. Because let's be honest, when most people exercise nowadays, they go to maybe a gym, pay for, a spotter, or even go as far as go pay for those cardios, those special workouts where people move around. And it's fun, but it takes a lot of time consuming if you had to go there like once or 3 or 4 or 5 days a week, maybe less. By implementing this in the metaverse, that will eliminate the time it takes for you to get a good 30 to 60 minutes of cardio and other workouts through virtual reality. And I see that as a possibility. And how I know, do you ever recall the Wii that came out back in 2006? That console alone sold millions and millions of copies. And one of the things that why it sold is because people were able to use the joystick, the control, which is like a remote, to play virtual basketball, virtual golf, etc. But now, with the introduction and the use now of virtual reality, it'll make being interactive in the three-dimensional space much more fun and maybe easier to burn necessary calories or fat. So I could see the Oculus with the metaverse very useful in regards helping keep people somewhat fit and maintaining weight loss or being more interactive. Because one of the few things, if you're going to use this technology, which a lot of people should get accustomed to and know it, not be afraid and run away, but try to understand it, that it has many useful tools for you as a consumer to get the best out of it. And we all know that most Americans, because we are fat, that if you're not a person that doesn't like to go out and pay for a gym membership and all stuff, you don't need that. Have this device, this Oculus, be immersed with the metaverse when it's fully available, and take the opportunity to burn that fat at home and make it fun in your workout exercise, So that's the thing that will help, in my point, to maybe alleviate the obesity problem. It will not fix it or correct it overnight, but having that and making it more fun to get a good sweat, that's one step that I think will be very more effective than, everything else that most people are not investing time and energy, which is going to the gym, maybe buying some machines and just doing it by yourself, because it can be boring. I'll tell you that much. So by making it three-dimensional and making it more fun and interactive, people are going to, and I'm guaranteed people are going to use this product. So now, let me check. All right, let me take, I think Jay called back in. Let me answer his question, and I'm going to continue on the tape. Jay, is that you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have another question? Because I'm halfway through this. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I want to get through halfway through this. But go ahead. Listen.
Yeah, so for what I hear, most of the stuff that they're talking about is more entertainment-driven.
Mm-hmm.
I hear what you're saying about the exercising, but that we make a lot of people lose weight.
I mean, it will help. It will not make a lot of people, but, when people talk about fitness and time, that is, let's say people are, exercising home, right? They might do it once a week, maybe 2, depending how dedicated they are. But doing it by yourself or wherever, it can be boring at times. So what's the best way to make, being active more fun? This could be one way. Not saying it's sure fix-all solution, but this is one way of making people that want to exercise at home a little bit more funner. And if you remember, Jay, remember when the Nintendo Wii came out? why it sold so many units? What's one thing people will tell you why they buy it?
Because it had a virtual reality setting to it.
No, it's fun to use, meaning that they created, like I said, a 3D virtual image controlled by a remote control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people did took and played it. And mind you, most parents bought it not only for their children, but bought it for the house for everybody to enjoy. So now imagine now integrating actual 3D/virtual reality into this, where it's more so-called, that's the so-called, into working out. It's going to make more people that say they don't have time to get a sweat. This will probably fix that. I say possibly fix that. You get me? But I won't know until it starts to be put out there more in the market. And usually the first thing out of everything is to address the cost of the VR. And throughout the video, if y'all watch the video personally, the man was using regular glasses. He was not using the Oculus. And why I say is because certain glasses now, they are funny to make as interacted with your smartphones. If you didn't know about this, Jay, they do have that technology, and they are funding it right now for people to fund it in big tech so they can have it pushed out in the market. This has been going on for the last year and a half.
Glasses, right?
Yes, they do. That's one of them. I'm glad you mentioned that. The Google Glass is one of few inventions that's now being tinkered out there in the market, but first they gave funding first. I expect by 2022 they should be having it out in the market. Get me? With everything else. Yeah. So we're going to see more of this as the new year arrives, you know. So. Anything else, Jake? I want to continue playing.
Yeah, and then I'll talk after. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. So let's continue on, guys. Now, this section is going to deal with how to be more interactive at work.
A lot of us who work in offices have gone remote, and while I miss seeing the people I work with, I think remote work is here to stay for a lot of people. So we're going to need better tools to work together. Let's take a look at what working in the metaverse will be like. Imagine if you could be at the office without the commute. You would still have that sense of presence, shared physical space, those chance interactions that make your day all accessible from anywhere. Now imagine that you have your perfect work setup and you can actually do more than you could in your regular work setup. And on top of all that, you can keep wearing your favorite sweatpants.
Looking good. Let's get together real quick for a debrief.
I'm free now. Let's jump in.
Hi.
Hey.
So what do we think?
I think it's ready.
Great.
I'll prep it for the presentation.
All right. Good luck.
Imagine a space where you can tune out distractions and focus on the task at hand. And when you're ready to share what you've been working on, you can present it as if you're right there with the team.
Wait, where's Mark?
I think he's in the middle of something.
You can already see some of these elements in Horizon Workrooms, which we launched a couple of months ago. Later this year, we plan to introduce a room customization, so you can put your own logos and posters in your workrooms. We're also introducing a new office space in Horizon Home, for when you want your perfect workspace to do some focused work or just cross a few things off your to-do list. We're also announcing 2D progressive web apps for the Quest Store, and as a new developer frameworks, they're easier to build. So you can drop in and check on a work project while you're in VR using services like Dropbox, Slack, or stay connected with Facebook and Instagram. This starts bringing more of your 2D internet services into the metaverse. And as we've focused more on work, and frankly, as we've heard your feedback more broadly, we're working on making it so you can log into Quest with an account other than your personal Facebook account. We're starting to test support for work accounts soon, and we're working on making a broader shift here within the next year. I know this is a big deal for a lot of people. Not everyone wants their social media profile linked to all these other experiences, and I get that, especially as the metaverse expands. And I'll share more about that later. But I'm genuinely optimistic about work in the metaverse. We know from the last couple of years that a lot of people can effectively work from anywhere. But hybrid is going to be a lot more complex, when some people are together and others are still remote. So giving everyone the tools to be present, no matter where they are, whether as a hologram sitting next to you in a physical meeting or in a discussion taking place in the metaverse, that's going to be a game changer. I think this could be very positive for our society and economy. Giving people access to jobs in more places, no matter where they live, will be a big deal for spreading opportunity to more people. Dropping our daily commutes will mean less time stuck in traffic and more time doing things that matter. And it'll be good for the environment. Actually, if you travel for work and working in the metaverse means that you just take one less flight each year, that's probably better than almost anything else that you can do for the environment. I think working in the metaverse is going to feel like a huge step forward. And these dynamics, like the ability to teleport places with people and interact around shared projects in virtual space, they're going to be valuable in a lot of other categories of experiences too. So now Marnie, our Chief Business Officer, is going to take us through some of them.
Thanks, Mark. We'll see you in a minute. What if you could learn about anything in the world just by bringing it closer to you?
So, we're going to have an astrophysicist in the family.
Actually, I have to write this paper. Will you help me?
Let's take a closer look. What part of the solar system are we talking about?
Saturn.
If you were taking astrophysics, you could study in the metaverse.
Did you know the rings are made up of billions of icy particles?
Really?
Look at this.
You ready to do that paper now, right?
Yeah.
In the metaverse, you'll be able to teleport not just to any place, but any time as well. Ancient Rome. Imagine standing on the streets, hearing the sounds, visiting the markets, to get a sense of the rhythm of life over 2,000 years ago. Imagine learning how the Forum was built by actually seeing the Forum get built right in front of you. Hi everyone, I'm Marnie Levine. In the metaverse, learning won't feel anything like the way we've learned before. With a headset or glasses, you'll be able to pull up schematics you're studying, or maybe even the service manual for a vehicle you're learning to repair. Let's say you're a med student or a doctor. With apps like OSO VR, you can learn new techniques in surgery firsthand, practicing until you get it right. Or, if you're studying Earth science, you could swim through the Great Barrier Reef, get up close to Earth's mightiest insects with your instructor, David Attenborough, whose VR documentary is playing now in Oculus TV.
This is a world of intrigue, a world of wonder, a secret world hidden to the human eye. Explore the extraordinary world of Micro Monsters 3D with me, David Attenborough.
This is just one of the ways we're going to learn in the future. But in order to get there, we're going to need to help build the skill sets of the people who build these experiences. So we're setting aside $150 million to train the next generation of creators to build immersive learning content and increase access to devices. And to help more creators make a living building AR effects using Spark AR, we're going to establish a professional curriculum and certification process, make it easier to monetize, and put our Spark AR curriculum on Coursera and edX.
Thanks, Marnie. So that's a glimpse of the kinds of experiences that you might have in the metaverse. From connecting with friends, to gaming and entertainment, to work and education, and creation and commerce. Now, let's talk about how creators and developers are going to build all of this, and about the economy that we all need to create. The last few years...
The call number for today's stream is 712-770-4160. Access code is 917324#. I repeat, 712-770-4160. Access code 917324#. Today's stream is titled Chaos Reign Presents Metaverse Chaos Theory, Episode 9. Now, you got the glimpse and rundown. And you know one thing, I will put eventually the link for y'all to see this in visual if you're not accustomed to what has been said onto the stream. You heard a few things. How working in the office is going to be more, not only effective, but cheaper. Meaning, if you're an IT person, this meta thing might be useful to do your work virtually, with either by the VR scope or the glasses. Like I said earlier when Jay called in, and I think I mentioned this earlier, that they do have Google glasses. And they are mass producing it, and they're going to have it in the market by 2022 at most. And like I said before, you cannot be afraid of the new technology, new wave of things. You must embrace it, respect it, and grasp it and learn it and understand it as best as possible. And I think one of the few things that hurts the human being today is some have lost their capability of adapting to change. And that's something that we must, as people, should improve and embrace. Now, the education part of things, I find it very intriguing that you're going to learn not only by what you read, but now you could visually see it now. You're interacting. You're virtually touching it, for lack of better words. And you're seeing how the junk works, which is the good stuff. And I'm looking at questions. It looks like somebody said that have interesting people follow me. And if they're following, please follow me through, matter of fact, I do this. Just to make it easier for those. Here you go. Now, as it moves forward, and like I said, I'm only going to go through the halfway of this, but I advise everybody to watch it. Personally, get a more glimpse of what is in store for the metaverse. So let's continue on with the conversation.
Have been humbling for me and our company in a lot of ways. One of the main lessons that I've learned is that building products isn't enough. We also need to help build ecosystems so that millions of people can have a stake in the future, can be rewarded for their work, and benefit as the tide rises, not just as consumers, but as creators and developers. But this period has also been humbling because as big of a company as we are, we've also learned what it is like to build for other platforms. And living under their rules has profoundly shaped my views on the tech industry. Most of all, I've come to believe that the lack of choice and high fees are stifling innovation, stopping people from building new things, and holding back the entire internet economy. We've tried to take a different approach. We want to serve as many people as possible, which means working to make our services cost less, not more. Our mobile apps are free. Our ads business model is an auction which guarantees every business the most competitive price possible. We offer our creator and commerce tools either at cost or with modest fees to enable as much creation and commerce as possible. And it's worked. Billions of people love our products. We have hundreds of millions of businesses on our platform, and we have a rapidly growing ecosystem and a thriving business. That's the approach that we want to take to help build the metaverse too. We plan to continue to either subsidize our devices or sell them at cost to make them available to more people. We'll continue supporting sideloading and linking to PCs so consumers and developers have choice, rather than forcing them to use the Quest store to find apps or reach customers. And we'll aim to offer developer and creator services with low fees in as many cases as possible so we can maximize the overall creator economy, while recognizing that to keep investing in this future, we'll need to keep some fees higher for some period to make sure that we don't lose too much money on this program overall. After all, while a growing number of developers are already profitable, we expect to invest many billions of dollars for years to come before the metaverse reaches scale. Our hope, though, is that if we all work at it, then within the next decade, the metaverse will reach 1 billion people, host hundreds of billions of dollars of digital commerce, and support jobs for millions of creators and developers. We'll try to lay out how some of this commerce model will work, but I also want to be upfront about the fact that there's a ton that we just don't know yet. What I can tell you, though, is that we are fully committed to this. It is the next chapter of our work, and we believe for the internet overall. And our strategy and track record show that we will do everything we believe is sustainable to grow the community, the creator economy, and the developer ecosystem. And to tell us more about all of that, here's Vishal, our head of Metaverse products.
Thanks, Mark. As you said, our approach is to serve as many people, creators, and businesses as we can by keeping fees as low as possible and offering choice. As a company, we have been investing in commerce and creators for many years. But let me take a moment and explain how this will all come to life in the metaverse. For people, the metaverse will offer more choice than we've ever seen before. And most importantly, there will be a real sense of continuity where the things you buy are always available to you. Today, much of what you buy on the internet is inside a single app, website, or game. You might buy a custom skin for your gaming avatar, but you can't take it with you when you move to a new space. In the physical world, that would be the equivalent of buying your favorite sports team's jersey and never be able to wear it outside the stadium. In the future, you will be able to buy digital clothes for your avatar and then wear them into the metaverse more broadly. For creators, our goal is to provide a way for as many creators as possible to build a business in the metaverse. One thing we've learned from today's digital platforms is that we can't artificially limit innovation. We need to enable as many different types of creators as possible to unlock the best ideas. There will be many different kinds of creators in the metaverse. Creators who make digital objects, creators who offer services and experiences, and those who build entire worlds like game creators do today. We also want creators to have the biggest possible audiences. If a creator designs a signature effect to surround avatars, their fans should be able to buy it and then visit different spaces to show it off to their friends. Frankly, if a creator builds any experience, all of their fans should be able to enjoy it. Businesses will be creators too, building out digital spaces or even digital worlds. They'll sell both physical and digital goods, as well as experiences and services. And they'll be able to use ads to ensure the right customers find what they've created. Speaking of buying things, we're also exploring new types of ownership models and entitlements to ensure people feel confident that they actually own something. This will make it easier for people to sell limited edition digital objects like NFTs, display them in their digital spaces, and even resell them to the next person securely. In short, the metaverse will remove many of the physical constraints we see on commerce today and make entirely new businesses possible. While this is very exciting, the metaverse is all about co-creating. We're building this together with creators, developers, and entrepreneurs. So today, I've asked Jackie Aina to join me to start a conversation about what might be possible. Jackie is a beauty creator who launched her own lifestyle brand on Instagram called Forever Mood, where she sells candles with scents like cuffing season and partners with major brands on makeup drops. So let's meet Jackie in her space. Here we are in this digital space, totally inspired by you and all the things that you love.
Before we move on, I just want to check if anybody raised their hand briefly. Just briefly. Okay, good. That's how they're going to really revolutionize commerce, or like to call it e-commerce or digital commerce. And you got to understand, if y'all not familiar with this, the world of bartering is going to change forever. with this. And what I mean, it's going to change forever. It's going to make you look and examine and think of how to interact through not only the physical world, but also the digital world much better and look at it much more in a broader horizon. I see that a lot of people that has creative ideals, this new wave of technology and new type of application will make the creation process much funner and more, how can I say it? I would say more accessible to the world. Imagine you know someone that creates cakes and want to not only display it through the website, but also display it through Metaverse, for a whole wide audience that will reach 1 billion people, I would say by the end of this decade, at best. As a matter of fact, if the technology is really good and they really structure and get it down packed, meaning they get the Google glasses out in the market next year and now have everybody start harboring their time and space, I would say they will get 1 billion within close to 2 years. And why I say this, because have y'all know and followed TikTok? TikTok was an app, an old app, last 2-3 years, if I really Google it. And matter of fact, let me see how long TikTok has been around since I'm talking about it. Let me see. Matter of fact, let me type it up. All right, let's see what I got. Interesting. I don't know if I spelled it right. I think this might be it. No. I think, let me see if I'm going to find it before I continue. TikTok. Media. How's that? I think this might be it. I found it. TikTok. Known as China as Douyin. I think that's how they pronounce it. TikTok was launched in 2017. This is only 4 years old. Now, just the last month, it just cracked 1 billion users using TikTok. And the reason why this was possible because they restructured and changed their platform in the last year or two. And it only took them roughly, if I had to guess, 3 to possibly 2 years to reach 1 billion users. And this is just a so-called music app, or a short story app at best. And look at how it already reached 1 billion users in less time. So imagine now if Multiverse or the Metaverse gets on its way and up and running by, let's say, 2022. I would give this, at best, less than 2 years. And the reason why I say less than 2 years because, like anything interactive, you're going to have a lot of people going to subscribe to and get to it. Now, the only thing that will slow it down from people subscribing and buying the necessary tools to use Metaverse is solely dependent on the technology at hand, meaning how much people can afford the Google glasses or the Oculus, if anybody owns the Oculus. I'm just looking now. And it shows here August of 2018. So I think it changed the name of it back in 2018 from what I'm looking at now. So I'm just going through this. Okay. Oh, it was released as an international market in 2017. My fault. That makes sense. Because I think Trump was talking about TikTok back the time when he was in presidency the next year. So it looks like it took him 4 years to reach 1 billion users. I expect Oculus will take roughly 2 years at best. I mean, my fault. Metaverse. It will take roughly over 2 years at best to reach 1 billion users. Now, I could be wrong, like many things, but like I said, I'm projecting for the future. And normally, if you're trying to get people onto this platform, it will take less time because only the user is the one that determines how far your platform will be popular. I'm going to leave it at that. Let's continue on with the thing.
Jackie, I've been such a big fan of yours for such a long time. Tell me a bit about how you got started in social media.
So, rewind back to 2009. As it pertains to like beauty, I would go to like a makeup counter or go makeup shopping, and I always felt rejected, always felt othered. So I got so frustrated that eventually I was like, you know what? Not only am I gonna like not listen to them, but I'm gonna show other people how I'm making it work with my skin tone too.
How did you go from creating content, creating videos, to a product? You just, have a brand called Forever Mood. It's huge on Instagram shopping.
So Forever Mood was not only a bit of a love letter to me and my relationship with my mom. That's how we bond, was through fragrance ever since childhood. But it's been doing amazing, and we've actually been getting a lot of support.
Jackie, the space is pretty magical, and I know it kind of reflects the stuff you love. Like, tell me a bit about what you love and why this represents you.
Okay. So first thing, color is everything. I love pastels. You can see it in the brand. You can see it like a lot of times in what I wear. With the Metaverse, when we're curating collections or even just brainstorming, this would be a great way to like gather us all together and literally kind of create atmospheres and environments and moods to just kind of enhance creativity. And then if I can invite people, it would be like inviting them in my home. You know what I mean? It'd be like bringing them into a piece of me. So I would want them to feel some of the things that I feel when I step into my house or when I light my candles.
Interacting with people in comments and having a conversation is a way to kind of get your fan excited about interacting with you, but also you feel like you get a connection to your community.
Too. Yeah.
And so this idea of reaching kind of into the comment section and pulling a fan in and having a conversation is pretty powerful. And, and it humanizes that person on the other end, of that comment. And I think there's a really interesting opportunity to think about how we build community and how we engage with our fans in a really deep way as opposed to just through a comment box. Imagine for your biggest fans, you could have an exclusive launch party where anyone could visit no matter where they were in the world.
I love that because when we first launched the brand, everything was shut down because obviously quarantine, couldn't go anywhere. And I had this idea of doing like pop-ups for Forever Mood where we would have a room inspired by each scent.
And now, anyone from anywhere in the world could come and feel what you just described, have that feeling, have that sense, really get into that mood. Also, you have your greatest fans, the people that care a lot about you, the ability to reach new customers, use advertising to keep growing your business. And you could also drop an exclusive product in the Metaverse, where only available to your most ardent fans who paid special access to get to that product.
That's dope.
Commerce is going to be a big part of the Metaverse. You'll be able to sell both digital and physical products. The butterfly effect transports us to someplace magical.
So beautiful.
Jackie, as we walk through this amazing world, what does the Metaverse mean to you?
I just feel like this is like endless possibilities with my imagination.
I can't even begin to imagine how meaningful the Metaverse will be thanks to creators like you.
There's a lot here to be excited about. Just like the internet today, more people are going to have the freedom to find a business model that works for them, whether that's custom work, tipping, subscriptions, ads, or other monetization tools that may only make sense in the metaverse. Now think about how many people make a living on the internet today. How many of those jobs just didn't even exist a few years ago? I expect that the metaverse is going to open up lots of opportunities for people in the exact same way. Now, we have confidence in this general direction, and we're investing significantly in building for this future, but the reality is that no one knows exactly which models are going to work and make this sustainable. So we're going to approach this with humility and openness, and we're going to work with anyone whose efforts will help bring the metaverse to life. So now, Boz is going to join us to talk about what people are already building for the metaverse and what kinds of tools we can create to help out. Hey, Boz. Still kind of jealous of your robot avatar.
Yeah, man, you gotta have the robot when you're working your dance moves, right?
I mean, of course.
Look, Mark, we've been working on Facebook Reality Labs for a long time, but we always kept the same vision, which is that we want to build tools that help people feel connected anytime, anywhere. And that vision is what drives us today, to help people get together in virtual spaces. We've come a long way since the early days of VR, thanks to the developers and the creators who see the potential to entertain and to educate. But of course, we still have a lot farther to go. So to keep the pace of innovation moving faster and empower more use cases, we do have a few exciting announcements.
Today, we're introducing the Presence platform, which is a broad range of machine perception and AI capabilities that empower developers to build mixed reality experiences on Quest 2. You want to tell us more about the Presence platform?
Yeah, we've said before that realistic presence is the key to feeling connected in the metaverse. And the Presence platform's capabilities are what's going to deliver on that promise. Things like environmental understanding, content placement and persistence, voice interaction, standardized hand interactions. In fact, let's start with hands. I mean, the human hand is an engineering marvel, and bringing hands into VR was no easy feat. It required a lot of collaboration against product, design, research, but we continue to improve that product, finding new ways to navigate with gestures and interact with VR. So today, we're introducing the Interaction SDK, a library of modular components that will make it easy to add hand interactions to your apps.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we really think this is going to help people accelerate the build time for new and existing titles that allow people to use their hands more naturally in more virtual experiences. Now, in addition to hands, there's another exciting interaction space for VR. That's your voice. The Voice SDK lets developers integrate voice input into their games and apps so they can create new gameplay and navigation. So soon, you'll be able to jump into a FitXR workout and shake up your routine just by saying, "Surprise me." Oh, yeah, I've tried this one before. This one's really tough.
Yeah, me too. It is.
Since we launched the Pass-Through API, we've already seen breakthrough experiments from developers that blend the virtual and the real world. Soon, with our next SDK release, developers will be able to ship their mixed reality apps on the Oculus Store and an App Lab. Now, of course, access to pass-through by itself is not enough. To achieve that rich mixed reality experience, apps also need to be aware of things in the room and, blend the virtual objects with the physical environment around them so they can coexist in the same space. So developers want to be able to place, persistent world-locked content like animated holograms or your Instagram feed in your real space. And tools like spatial anchors and scene understanding capabilities will help make these mixed reality experiences feel seamless. Now, I'd gladly nerd out with you on the technical details of this with you.
I know.
But I think it's better to show you. Load the world beyond. This is Oppie. Oppie, come on, Oppie. Who's a good persistent state virtual object layered on an interactive pass-through environment? Oh, you are. Yes, you are. Oppie, sit. Pets in the metaverse, man. Just as stubborn as they are in the physical world.
You know, Boz, I always really wanted a forest in my living room.
Did you?
Not really. I'm looking forward to how developers are going to be able to build a new generation of mixed reality experiences on Quest 2. And it also gives us a glimpse of the kind of worlds that people are going to be able to build.
Now let's talk about augmented reality. With Spark, we've really focused on those use cases that allow people to both stay engaged with the world around them, but also stay connected to the people that they're not around. And creators are really leading the way here. And we're doing everything we can to support them with our know-how, with our resources, and of course, with tools. And for more on that, I'd like to say hi to Sue, the product director at Facebook Reality Labs and the head of Spark AR.
Thanks, guys. Spark AR is focused on building AR experiences that empower people to be more connected and at the same time, more present with the world around them. And creators are helping us build these experiences of today while exploring the possibilities of tomorrow. Fundamentally, we're democratizing AR creation and enabling a global community with the tools and knowledge necessary to develop the AR content and experiences that people love to use. Programs like AR Curriculum enrolled over 22,000 creators in less than a year, and we're adding additional programming to support more advanced creators. And the depth and breadth of content would not be possible without these creators. In 1 week alone, you'll see effects that bring moments like landing on Mars or the launch of a new album to life, all by tapping into everyone's imaginations. We're also powering experiences across Facebook, so imagine playing that AR Battleship game from your phone with a friend in the Metaverse or on an augmented call. How cool, right? Right now, we have over 600,000 creators in our community with diverse needs and motivations for using AR to engage with their fans and audiences. We know people, more than 700 million monthly across the Facebook family of apps, are already using AR a ton. We see over 80 billion effects applied per month, and we want to make it even easier for anyone to find their spark. So we created a tool, codenamed Polar, that makes AR creation possible for novice creators who have no prior experience in art, 2D or 3D design, or programming. Think paint by numbers. So creators whose first love might be photography, video, or dance can enhance their content for their own special effects. And that's an important piece of this vision and this community. It's open to anyone and everyone who's curious. And the Metaverse is well positioned to be a strong digital economy for creators from all walks of life. This is primitive to a functioning Metaverse. And we want to make sure creators are ready to share their creativity and capitalize on this emerging opportunity from day one.
Thanks, Sue. So that's some of the software platform that needs...
Another pause. We're slowly wrapping this up. I thank all that and those who will listen to this. The technology is there, people, to be very much more interactive and creative. If you're not a person that's, feeling less creative or not knowing where to start, the help is there. You just have to search for it. And one thing that a lot of people are afraid of is the learning curve of how can I really use this to benefit myself and to monetize. That's going to take another form of relearning and the willingness to learn. And I think every person has the capability to learn new things. Is how much time and effort you're going to put into learn and develop a simple skill like, the spark or anything to make what your design, whether photography, exercise, or something more interactive, to put it in digital form so the whole world could see it. And the technology and tools are here, and they are free. This is you have to look for it. AR Spark is one of them, so you can Google that to learn more about AR Spark. Yeah. Let me look at the comments. Trying to refresh this. Okay, everybody's still watching. Yeah. All right. So let me continue to slowly wrap this up.
To get built to deliver the metaverse. But there are other important considerations here too. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Mark. Hope I'm not interrupting. You got a sec? Have you got Oppie with you?
I think Oppie's still in the virtual forest, but I always have time for you. What's going on?
Look, I just love the presentation so far. It's such visionary stuff. But as you mentioned early on, with all big technological advances, there are inevitably going to be in all sorts of challenges and uncertainties. And I know you've talked about this a bit already, but people want to know how we're going to do all this in a responsible way, and especially that we play our part in helping to keep people safe and protect their privacy online.
Yeah, that's right. This is incredibly important.
The way I look at it is that in the past, the speed that new technologies emerged sometimes left policymakers and regulators playing catch-up. So on the one hand, companies get accused of charging ahead too quickly, and on the other, tech people feel that progress can't afford to wait for the slower pace of regulation. And I really think that it doesn't have to be the case this time round, because we have years until the metaverse we envision is fully realized. So this is the start of the journey, not the end.
Like I said earlier, interoperability, open standards, privacy, and safety need to be built into the metaverse from day one. And with all the novel technologies that are being developed, everyone who's building for the metaverse should be focused on building responsibly from the beginning. This is one of the lessons that I've internalized from the last 5 years. It's that you really want to emphasize these principles from the start. So at Connect last year, Boz outlined our responsible innovation principles, and the first one was never surprise people.
Right, and that means being transparent about how things work, what data is collected, and how that data is used over time. It also means giving people easy-to-use safety controls, as well as age guidance and parental controls for when youngsters are using these products.
And we're spending a lot of time talking with experts and getting perspectives from outside the company on what we're building, even before we build it. And this is about designing for safety and privacy and inclusion before the products even exist. And one example is what we're doing with Project Aria, our research device that helps inform the AR glasses that we're building. We're also funding external research on this. You know, last year we announced grants for research on the impact of AR, VR, and smart devices on people who aren't currently using them, especially communities whose perspectives have often been overlooked, as well as best practices for creating inclusive environments in virtual spaces. And this year, we're opening up support for even more research because we need those independent perspectives to make sure that we're living up to another one of our principles, consider everyone.
And that point is so important because this is a collaborative exercise. And in particular, we need to make sure the human rights and civil rights communities are involved. So these technologies are built in a way that's inclusive and empowering.
One of the advantages of starting right now is that we can collaborate with people at the very early stages of development, like what we're doing through the new fund that you announced a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the XR Programs and Research Fund. It's a 2-year, $50 million investment in programs and external research with organizations all over the world, like Howard University, Women in Immersive Tech, Africa No Filter, and universities in Seoul, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And this is crucial because, as we've said, the metaverse isn't something we're building so much as it's something we're building for.
Across the industry, we need to bring that same imagination and commitment to building for interoperability, openness, safety, and privacy as we do for all the other product aspects of the metaverse. These have to be fundamental building blocks, just like the other software and experiences that we've been talking about.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Nick. So, one thing that we haven't talked about much yet is the future of hardware that will help bring the metaverse to life. We're working on multiple new products to advance the state of the art, unlock richer social interactions, and make it a lot easier to be productive. That must be Angela, our head of VR devices. Hey, Angela.
Hey, Mark.
Is that what I think it is?
I sure hope it is.
All right, come on in. So, what do you think is the most exciting thing that we're working on right now?
That's hard to say. You know, we have such an exciting pipeline. But next year, we are releasing a new product that will push the boundaries of VR even further. We've codenamed it Project Cambria.
So this isn't the next Quest. It's going to be compatible with Quest, but Cambria will be a completely new, advanced, and high-end product, and it'll be at the higher end of the price spectrum too. Our plan here is to keep building out this product line to release our most advanced technology before we can hit the price points that we target with Quest. All right, so let's talk about some of the new advances here.
Yeah, sure. There's a ton of new tech going into Cambria. For example, your avatar will be able to make natural eye contact and reflect your facial expressions in real time. This way, people you're interacting with will have a real sense of how you're actually feeling. It does mean building more sensors into a form factor that's comfortable to wear for a while. And because we want VR to be for everyone, we also have to make sure avatars represent a diverse set of human facial features and skin tones, as well as paying attention to things like glasses and beards that might get in the way of some of the sensors.
So that's going to be a big step forward for social presence, and I'm really glad that we're focused on making it inclusive from the start. Now, what about unlocking more mixed reality experiences? I mean, imagine working at your virtual desk with multiple screens while seeing your real desk so clearly that you can pick up a pen and write notes without taking your headset off. Or you're doing a workout with a virtual instructor in your living room.
It's going to be so cool. We're already seeing the potentials of these kinds of experiences today as people are building for our pass-through API. But with Cambria, we'll be taking this to the next level with high-resolution, colored, mixed reality pass-through. We essentially combine an array of sensors with reconstruction algorithms to represent your physical world in a headset with a sense of depth and perspective. Now, we're still a ways away from exactly matching what our eyes see in the physical world, but we're pretty encouraged by how far we've been able to advance the pass-through experience so far.
Definitely, but we also need to push the visuals to the next level. So let's talk about the progress that we're making on optics.
Yeah, we're pushing the limits of display technology and form factor with something called pancake optics. They essentially work by folding light several times over to achieve a slimmer profile than current lenses. Now, with several optical layers, we'll need to precisely control every aspect of design and fabrication to achieve that high-quality, artifact-free display and really just deliver the best optics ever in one of our headsets.
That's pretty awesome. But let's make sure that we leave some of the good stuff for next year's release, too. All right, now, I'm excited to keep building out this new product line over future generations so we can keep getting our most advanced technology into people's hands even before we can get it into our Quest product line.
That's our goal. We're starting to work with developers to build experiences for Cambria as we speak, and we're looking forward to sharing so much more with y'all next year.
Sounds good. Now, beyond virtual reality, we are also focused on the hardware to make true augmented reality possible. In a lot of ways, augmented reality is even harder, not just because we need to invent a completely new optical stack that's not based on screens, but because we basically need to fit a supercomputer into a pair of normal-looking glasses. So we're approaching this problem from two directions. First, how much technology can we pack into a pair of normal, great-looking glasses today? And second, how do we take the long-term tech stack to do everything and keep miniaturizing and improving it until it fits into a pair of normal, good-looking glasses? On the first path, last month we launched Ray-Ban Stories, our first smart glasses in partnership with EssilorLuxottica. They're not full AR glasses yet, but they let you take pictures and videos, listen to music, and take phone calls while you're out looking at the world instead of down at your phone. And we built leading privacy features into the glasses, like the LED light whenever you're recording, which phones don't even have. And we delivered this in the iconic Ray-Ban style for just $299. These are all steps along the path to an embodied internet. But the ultimate goal here is true augmented reality glasses. And we've been working on that too. And today, I want to show you an experience that we've been working on for Project Nazare, which is the code name for our first full augmented reality glasses.
I will stop right there. Yep. Yes. 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 So, to wrap this up and conclude this, I appreciate everybody that was listening into this stream. The 21st century has now really begun. And one of the things you should take out of this particular broadcast is this. you should have a real clear understanding of this new technology age we are in. And if you're not preparing your children now or yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice. Screw everything as what you heard of or known of. I think one of the things that why people don't be left behind is they're very much afraid of the unknown and the possibilities. What will technology do to human beings moving forward in the future? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen to you now if you're not well versed in understanding and using this technology, and not only that, but making your own form of technology for your own preservation. Anything that you do not understand or have a grasp of control will always, at the end of the day, control you. So like any being or the user, be in control. Not only understand what it is, what it can do, and what possibly it could do to you, but to learn, adapt, and really have a sense of control. Don't let this technology overwhelm you and make you more disconnected than what you already are, because God knows most beings today, human beings, and we can say all race, are right now very antisocial in nature. So there's no way to combat that at this present moment, but there's one way to really work around that. And it's going to take where you as a person do your part to better yourself, evolve yourself, and protect yourself so that way you don't get caught up. Now, for today's stream, if you missed the stream, please go back to replay of this. I've answered some questions that most people have that's always concerning. I think I answered these questions the best as possible. But like anything else that you still have questions, you know what to do. Leave a comment under this podcast/live stream here on YouTube and other media outlets. And if you're not subscribed to the Chaos Reign channel, what you wait for? Hit that red button, hit the top bell. Also, follow me on Twitter at ChaosReign7 and add me as a friend on Facebook. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to today's broadcast. Until next time, and
good night.
Thank you. And thank you so much for listening to another broadcast. And like always, comment, subscribe, and like this video. You can now follow me at Twitter at ChaosReign7 and add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Reign on Facebook. Until next time, let it Chaos Reign!
And now, this is the bonus scene, the wrap portion, and here's the finished video.
Looking glasses. On the first path, last month we launched Ray-Ban Stories, our first smart glasses in partnership with EssilorLuxottica. They're not full AR glasses yet, but they let you take pictures and videos, listen to music, and take phone calls while you're out looking at the world instead of down at your phone. And we built leading privacy features into the glasses, like the LED light whenever you're recording, which phones don't even have. And we delivered this in the iconic Ray-Ban style for just $299. These are all steps along the path to an embodied internet. But the ultimate goal here is true augmented reality glasses, and we've been working on that too. And today, I want to show you an experience that we've been working on for Project Nazare, which is the codename for our first full augmented reality glasses. Here, you'll see you're chatting with friends on WhatsApp and planning a game night. You can select a game, and then, as you walk over to your kitchen, you can easily just put your game onto the table and you're off. That's the kind of experience that augmented reality will unlock. There's a lot of technical work to get this form factor and experience right. We have to fit hologram displays, projectors, batteries, radios, custom silicon chips, cameras, speakers, sensors to map the world around you, and more into glasses that are about 5 millimeters thick. So we still have a ways to go with Nazare, but we are making good progress. I'm excited about our future roadmap, but even that's still early in a journey that's going to go on for decades. Immersive all-day experiences will require a lot of novel technologies, and for the last 7 years, our research team has been working on a broad array of technologies that are necessary for these next-generation platforms.
Michael Abrash leads this team, and he's going to join me to talk about some of the future technology that we're developing. Hey, Michael, do you want to take everyone through our roadmap?
Sure. That covers a lot of ground, though. It's going to take about a dozen major technological breakthroughs to get to the next generation metaverse, and we're working on all of them. Displays, audio, input, haptics, hand tracking, eye tracking, mixed reality sensors, graphics, computer vision, avatars, perceptual science, AI, and more.
Yeah, you're right. That's a lot. We probably only have time for a couple right now. You want to pick a few?
Well, I think the metaverse is really going to be first and foremost about connecting people. So I'd say let's start with avatars.
Yeah, I agree. The goal here is to have both realistic and stylized avatars that create a deep feeling that we're present with people.
Exactly, and we've shown codec avatars before.
Well, what can your face do? Can you show us?
Well, I've always hoped you would ask me that question.
And it's a remarkable experience to see codec avatars in VR, and photorealistic avatars will be a huge breakthrough. But they're only part of the picture.
Yeah, because you're not always going to want to look exactly like yourself. That's why people shave their beards, dress up, style their hair, put on makeup, or get tattoos. And of course, you'll be able to do all of that and more in the metaverse.
So this next video shows how we're making progress on part of that with hair and skin rendering and relighting for 3D avatars.
She's going for a medical field. I think she was interested into...
Now, I want to point out this technology is still very definitely research, but it shows the really high level of fidelity that avatars are ultimately going to need to reach. Notice that you can see the individual pores on his skin. Now, clothing is another important way to express yourself. And whether you want to simulate your actual garments, say you're making a quick call with your grandmother, or maybe you just want to be wearing a stylish blue Oxford shirt like me, you're going to need the ability to simulate clothing. So here's an early look at hand-cloth interaction. And you can see how the movement of the cloth when the hand touches and stretches it is really remarkably accurate.
Now, to use your avatar to teleport to a meeting or sit down for a chat in the metaverse, you'll also need realistic virtual spaces to be with people in, so let's look at that. Contrary to how this looks, this is actually not a video of the physical world. It's a 3D reconstruction of a mock apartment, which I guess just became clear when that bowl took off by itself.
Exactly. So what you can see here is that a researcher is moving around various objects on the right, and then on the left you can see the high-fidelity real-time rendering of the space in the moving objects on the left without the researcher. So what's critical here is that this is all happening in real time. That's what's novel here, and that's what differentiates it from CGI. So what we've seen so far is pretty awesome, but we all know what we want. We want the whole package, a full-body avatar in a virtual environment, so you're just there. Last year, we showed our very first full-body codec avatar at Connect. Here to tell you more about our progress since then is Yasser Sheikh.
Hi there. My name is Yasser, and I direct the Facebook Reality Research Lab in Pittsburgh. Well, that's not completely true. What you're seeing is actually a rendering of my pre-recorded codec avatar. Over the past couple of years, we've made quite a bit of progress with codec avatars. My avatar can now look left, look right, look up, look down, make facial expressions.
Here, you can see Elaine is in VR on the right. You can see her view of Yasser's avatar and the reconstructed real-world space that it's in on the left as she moves around the avatar. What you see on the left is an entirely virtual reconstruction. This gives you a sense of a future in which you'll be able to interact with another person's realistic avatar in virtual reality in real time. Now, preventing others from using your avatar will be critical. That's why, even though this is early stage research, we're already thinking about how we could secure your avatar, whether by tying it to an authenticated account or by verifying identity in some other way.
All right, so we've talked about what we're going to be able to see, but of course we also want to be able to actually do things in the metaverse. And while seeing your hands in VR and manipulating virtual objects is a big step forward towards that, then we're going to need an even easier and more intuitive way to interact with virtual content when you're on the go wearing AR glasses. And we believe that neural interfaces are going to be an important part of how we interact with AR glasses. And more specifically, EMG input from the muscles on your wrist combined with contextualized AI. It turns out that we all have unused neuromotor pathways, and with simple and perhaps even imperceptible gestures, sensors will one day be able to translate those neuromotor signals into digital commands that enable you to control your devices. It's pretty wild. So let's take a look at what EMG input is going to be able to do and where we are with it today.
This video shows some of the ways that we think that wrist-based neural interfaces can provide an important input tool for AR glasses. So at first, that input is going to just be around enabling basic gestures, click, scroll, select. But as the technology evolves, EMG input could potentially unlock full-speed typing, and it could give you subtle, personalized controls that you can use in any situation. This is genuinely unprecedented technology. So let's look at an early prototype that shows how it could be used in AR.
This experimental UI shows for the first time how EMG input could one day allow you to send a message in AR with your hand resting comfortably at your side, without ever having to look at a screen. Notice how the researcher used an overt and highly visible click gesture to send the first message. We've made a lot of progress over the last year, and we're now able to do the same thing with the smallest of movements of the hand. EMG enables this by picking up subtle neuromotor commands with remarkable precision.
So basically what you're saying is that you're going to be able to send a text message just by thinking about moving your fingers. That's going to be pretty amazing. But I guess it's just one part of the equation, because the other is AI that understands your context and can give you a simple set of choices based on that context. So let's take a look at an AI interaction model that we've built using Project Aria, our initiative to accelerate research into AR glasses and live maps that we talked about last year.
Remember the mock apartment we saw earlier? Well, we've indexed every single object in it, including not only location, but also the texture, geometry, and function of each one. We fed all that information into the Project Aria glasses Ming-Fei is wearing in this next demo.
And the reason is to simulate how AR glasses will ultimately be able to access data from a 3D map that will help them identify the real-world objects in the space around you and better understand your context so they can help you.
What's happening here is that the glasses are calculating where Ming-Fei is in the room, locating and identifying all the nearby objects based on the index mentioned earlier, and figuring out which of those objects Ming-Fei is interested in by observing her eye movements. That contextual information, in turn, enables the system to offer proactive assistance to Ming-Fei in a variety of ways. Here, the system knows that she may want to turn on the TV, so when she clicks while looking at it, the system turns it on. Ultimately, her AR glasses will tell her what her available actions are at any time.
Hey assistant, where's my favorite mug?
We're also working on a voice interface that will let you locate any object. Here, the system is displaying the current location of the mug. In the future, it might tell her where it is using speech or text, or it might highlight the location in her glasses.
Really, it's an early look at the sort of intuitive, low-friction interface that AI plus EMG input will enable in the future. This is how we'll all be interacting one day.
Thanks, Michael. That was awesome. All right, so I hope that gives you a sense of some of the technical challenges that we're working on to deliver deep and immersive experiences in the metaverse. A lot of what we've shown today isn't going to be available in the next year or two. Some of this is still a long way off. But this is some of the most exciting stuff that I've ever gotten to work on, and I'm just incredibly energized to be on this journey with all of you. And there's one more thing that I want to tell you about today. I believe the metaverse is the next chapter for the internet, and it's the next chapter for our company too. So I've been thinking a lot about what this means for our company and who we are as we embark on this journey. We're a company that focuses on connecting people. While most other tech companies focus on how people interact with technology, we focus on building technology so people can interact with each other. One of the reasons I started Facebook was that at the time you could use the internet to find almost anything. Information, news, movies, music, shopping, except for the thing that matters most of all, people. Today, we are seen as a social media company. But in our DNA, we are a company that builds technology to connect people. And the metaverse is the next frontier, just like social networking was when we got started. Facebook was born in a specific time and place, a college campus, the web. It was what we could build at the time to put people back into our experience of technology. But connecting people was always much bigger. From way earlier on, I remember sitting in middle school classes, sketching in my notebooks, ideas that I wanted to code when I got home. And even though I didn't have the skill or technology to build it yet, it was always clear that the dream was to feel present with the people we care about. Isn't that the ultimate promise of technology? To be together with anyone, to be able to teleport anywhere, and to create and experience anything? Yet here we are in 2021, and our devices are still designed around apps, not people. The experiences we're allowed to build and use are more tightly controlled than ever. And high taxes on creative new ideas are stifling. This is not the way that we are meant to use technology. The metaverse gives us an opportunity to change that if we build it well. But it's going to take all of us, creators, developers, companies of all sizes. Together, we can finally put people at the center of our technology and deliver an experience where we are present with each other. Together, we can create a more open platform with more ways to discover experiences and more interoperability between them. And together, we can unlock a massively bigger creative economy. I know the internet story isn't straightforward. Every chapter means new voices and new ideas, and yes, there will be challenges and risks and disruption of established interests. But there will also be opportunities and benefits that we can't even imagine yet. For connection, for creation, for learning, and joy. We'll all need to work together from the beginning to bring the best possible version of this future to life. A future where, with just a pair of glasses, you will be able to step beyond the physical world and into the kinds of experiences that we have talked about today. I've been thinking a lot about our identity as we begin this next chapter. Facebook is one of the most used products in the history of the world. It is an iconic social media brand. But increasingly, it just doesn't encompass everything that we do. Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, Quest, now Horizon, Nazare, and more. Building our social media apps will always be an important focus for us. But right now, our brand is so tightly linked to one product that it can't possibly represent everything that we're doing today, let alone in the future. Over time, I hope that we are seen as a metaverse company. And I want to anchor our work and our identity on what we are building towards. We just announced that we are making a fundamental change to our company. We're now looking at and reporting on our business as two different segments. One for our family of apps, and one for our work on future platforms. And as part of this, it is time for us to adopt a new company brand to encompass everything that we do. To reflect who we are and what we hope to build, I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta. Our mission remains the same. It's still about bringing people together. Our apps and their brands, they're not changing either. And we are still the company that designs technology around people. But now we have a new North Star to help bring the metaverse to life. And we have a new name that reflects the full breadth of what we do and the future that we want to help build. From now on, we're going to be Metaverse first, not Facebook first. That means that over time, you won't need to use Facebook to use our other services. And as our new brand starts showing up in our products, I hope that people come to know the Meta brand and the future that we stand for. I used to love studying classics, and the word meta comes from the Greek word meaning beyond. For me, it symbolizes that there is always more to build. There is always a next chapter to the story. And for us, that's a story that started in a dorm room and grew beyond anything we could imagine, into a family of apps that people use to find one another, to find their voice, to start businesses and communities and movements that have changed the world. I'm proud of what we've built so far and excited about what comes next as we move beyond what's possible today, beyond the constraints of screens, beyond the limits of distance and physics, and towards a future where everyone can be present with each other, create new opportunities, and experience new things. It's a future that is beyond any one company, that will be made by all of us. We've built things that have brought people together in new ways. We've learned a lot from struggling with social issues and living under closed platforms. And now it is time to take everything that we have learned and help build the next chapter. I am dedicating our energy to this more than any other company in the world. And if this is the future that you want to see, then I hope that you will join us. Because the future is going to be beyond anything we can imagine.